Hello, everyone. It's your friend.
Hi.
It's your friend again, Apollos Pedro, and I have with me in the studio tonight Tiasha Castellic Asomani. Yes, 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 yes,
Yay.
yes, 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 yes. Welcome one, welcome all. I really appreciate the possibility to be with you here again tonight, and I thank you, Tiasha, for being with us again tonight.
Thank you for having me.
How are you today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm doing marvelous. Everything is great over here. The weather is getting better and every blessed day here in Italy. I don't know about you out there in England. How is it going out there?
Well, you know, you know how they say, we're gonna be brown from rusting, not from suntan.
Really?
If that makes sense. It's all right, but it's, rain, a lot of rain here. A lot.
Okay. That's a nice one. That's a nice
Yeah.
one. I'm happy that everything is great and perfect over there. And even if you are gonna get brown or whatsoever, it's always good to have the spring weather is always for me it's always the best time of the year. Even though I
It
have
is. It's the
allergies, it's always
nicest.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
I like the springtime and the autumn leaves of the autumn as well, when the leaves are
Yeah.
brown and everything. All right. Thank you so much for being here. And it's a pleasure for me once again. And tonight we'll be discussing about us as parents and the possibility to be able to raise our children to be the caliber of persons that we would like to see
Yes.
in the future, and I we add to leave the world for when it would have been the right time for us to join our ancestors. So why is it important for us to raise our children right? First of all, there is no perfect formula concerning this particular aspect of our life, and everyone anyone can claim to be an expert in how other people are raising their children, but the fact remains that we endeavor to do the best that we can without having a perfect guide or a perfect formula to actually undergo this process of childbearing and raising our children to be quote unquote perfect adults. I prefer to use the word adults that are able to carry their own weight in life.
Yes.
And that's something for me that is very, very important, because if one is not able to manage him or herself, or however the person choose to identify themselves, the person end up being a burden to the society. And being a burden to the society, living in a circumstances that is beyond one's control. In this instance, I'm not talking about the fact that maybe one is sick, but if one has to be in a situation for economic reasons or whatsoever and happen to be a burden to the society, it is actually not the right place to be.
Yes.
And it happens to be very difficult to bear for that particular individuals. And what do I mean with this? When another adult has to tell a fellow adult what they should eat, where they can live, where they should go, and where they should not go, it is very, very difficult to bear as a
Mhm.
person. So this is why for me it is important that we discuss this topic today and reason among ourselves, not only as parents, even those that do not have children of their own in brackets.
Yeah,
There is this saying that goes that it takes a village to raise a child. So
yeah.
the issue of young adults in particular is something that is very dear to my heart. And I'm happy that Tiasha, you agreeing to do this discussion here with me today, not only as a parent, but even as someone that care about their fellow human being. So I welcome you once again. And the show has started, like I said, and this is the reason why I believe we should do this topic. How do we raise our children to be in that position whereby they will take their place in the world? It is very, very important to me. And I believe that the society that we live in today needs to have the leaders of tomorrow being able to make decisions, be autonomous in not only for themselves, but being able to make a decision that will be beneficial for our country and our world in general. So, with that being said, I will ask Tiasha, when we talk of leadership concerning children, when we
Hmm.
talk of leadership, living, handing over the mantle of leadership to our younger ones,
Yeah.
when should that idea of leadership principle, when should we start transmitting it to our younger children?
I think that in general, that happens like, from the time they are born. It's
Okay.
because I mean, obviously, at that time they don't understand, but it's like if you have certain vision how you're gonna raise a child, you go from the day one, right, and you follow it. So I mean, the way I see it is, um, bringing up a child starts with day one.
Mm-hmm.
Being infant or not, like you put a routine in a child, if not anything else, at that stage, right? I
That,
mean,
that
you
word
provide.
routine, that word routine in this
Yeah.
day and age,
Hmm.
the word routine and being creating a routine for a younger child,
Yeah.
do you think one can protect a child's right with how will you define a routine in the first place?
First of all, that's not like taming a child down. I believe that, and I think that even psychologists, don't find anything wrong with that, because I believe that the child needs a routine, and routine is not like a bad thing. Routine is teaching a child what happens at certain, like we are talking about infant now, since I started with that. You teach a child, like you plan this in a mind that there are like certain hours in a day when something happens. So, for a child upbringing, they also say, because like I was even listening to one audio book now. Obviously, I don't have time to read, so I need to now proceed other options about,
Mhm.
how to tackle these things. And they use this word routine. And I've like until now you mentioned it, I never found anything wrong with it, to be honest. How I see routine is just like, letting a child know that there are certain things that are going to happen in certain time, because it does provide some sort of security. It's
Really?
there is a stability, right? A child knows, let's say, okay, after there is going to be a bath or a shower, parents are gonna hand me, I don't know, a milk, right? And then, the winding down time comes, and that's when, it's gonna be soon time to sleep. Child doesn't have a time, okay, it's 8 p.m. or whatever in head, but that routine of everyday's procedure. I don't know. We eat lunch, then they know, it's a playtime. You understand? It's something that they can predict. It provides them safety. Now, when they grow up a little bit, and they are aware of certain situations, they might start hating it. But I insist in using something because it does provide some sort of stability. That's how I see it, though. I might be wrong, and I do understand that the world we live in, we need to be very careful now. The terms we use, the approaches we use, but I mean, routine, come on. Like, what is wrong if I tell a child, I don't know, at 8 o'clock is bedtime?
That
I don't
is
see
that is
anything wrong with that.
perfect. I, for one, personally do not see anything wrong in particular about it. But at the same time, when we talk about raising children, there is always that need to look at the gray area of it. And children are very young, because the question that I asked before you make your intervention was, when exactly do you start with these things? You said it is important that we start earlier when they are still very young, even starting
Mhm.
by letting them know the importance of having a routine.
Right. I mean,
At
if
2 years old, at 3 years old, at what age we that process starts? Because I am imagining people that are much more younger than us,
mhm.
that have children, and maybe they really don't know even the best way to manage themselves personally.
You see,
Not
I think
not
that
every adult have routine, Tiashan. I hope you understand
I
and realize that.
no, I do understand that. But I
Mhm.
always say I see parenting is not working on a child, is working on yourself, right?
Sorry?
Because I mean, that's how I see it, because the child is your mirror reflection. It's nothing else. So if you don't have a routine, the child, I understand, cannot have a routine. If you're not used to that, obviously you can't implant that in your child. Now, the thing is that, you see, this is what we spoke about, I think, briefly, even in some of our podcasts, and even, the previous ones, some of these things were mentioned. You
Mhm.
know, uh, why do you have a child? And and it's not just, I'm not talking about, oh, you want to create a, I don't know, future president. I'm not talking about that. You know, I think it's just like, I don't know. I understand young people have children. I get it, and I understand they are used to certain different things. But I notice now, when I do see them or I speak to them, there is so much confusion, and they still tend to look for advices in older generations, because it comes to a time when a child is just like something they can't handle anymore. It comes to a stage, because if you leave a child, I don't know, at the age of 4, 5, when they are wild and stuff, and you don't set certain boundaries, you don't have that routine set, the child at the end start jumping on your head. It's a known fact. I know today, no screaming, no obviously physical touches on the child, right? Uh, and raising a child nowadays is very hard, just because of certain things, right? There is no like things like a punishment like we used to, or like raising child in fear, which I'm like totally against it. But I think that when you establish that stability within yourself, that you
Mhm.
reflect it then upon a child. Because no matter, like, listen, just an example, if you have a family where two adults, parents, carers, whatever they are at that case, are
Mhm.
arguing in front of child, right? Day after day after day after day. The child is absorbing, although you see nothing wrong with that. The child is not learning the stability. But if he's gonna see, I don't know, a husband hugging a wife and having that nice precious moments, the child is also absorbing that. Now, same goes to certain routines. If you're gonna be drinking alcohol in front of your child and then misbehaving and stuff, then I assume the child somewhere along the line is gonna believe that's okay. You've done it. You can't prevent me now to do it, right? Because it is implemented in you. And when you said it starts from the early age, of course, like at the age of 2, they're not gonna remember those years, but it's something that is within them. You want it or not want it,
Perfect.
right? That, I mean,
Perfect.
that's how I see it. um,
Mhm.
it would be interesting to see like some other aspects of that, and maybe also you have a 4-year-old, right, who is
Yeah.
at that stage now where he's like full energy and being a boy, for example, running
Mhm.
around. You understand?
Mhm.
and you see the development, right? If like you need to set, and I'm using it again, some routine in him, and also set some boundaries. Like obviously you're not gonna allow him to go swim in the lake in a park, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly. But this
That
is what
that
I'm
way
talking
amount
about.
to
And
negligence.
exactly. But it's like some parents might be in that case, yeah, but let him explore, you know?
Hmm.
So you see, there is a different, like, maybe approach how you take it, and how you stop that. Or like, let's say the child is, I don't know, swinging and enjoying in a park, and you know that it's time for lunch. You understand? Are you gonna let the child then just swing away his way, and the way he wants it, or you gonna actually tell the child it's time to go? That's setting a routine, that's setting a boundary, that's teaching him, also some priorities. A fun time ends at certain point, and it ends when I tell you. And then later they will understand, I don't know, some in the future, that whatever you did for them was for their good, you know? Like I as a teenager, I was angry at my mom for certain things when she was telling me, I don't know, clean the room and do this, do that. And I was like, oh my God, look at her nagging again. But now looking back at her, and now having a 7-year-old daughter that I need 1 week arguing with her for her to clean the room, I completely get it. But I am the one who says every single day, you have to clean the room. And it doesn't happen that day. And the next day is a bit raised voice. I told you yesterday to clean the room. I'm not gonna do it for you. You sleep there, right? I fold your clothes. I do everything for you. Your job is to clean the toys after yourself. Now, am I being too tough? I don't know. But at least I'm teaching my child that she has some responsibilities as well.
That's so
Am I,
true. No, no, no. I listen to you carefully, and there are two words. You use two words interchangeably, which I will like you to. Okay, no, I will not even say that you should buttress more on it, but it's just that what I understood from it is that routine and having boundaries could be used interchangeably. They are two
yeah.
instruments that one can apply, even starting as young as 2 years, as early as possible when it comes to raising up a child. And you said that
Yeah.
you relate your experience to it as well when you were younger, the relationship you had with your mom and everything, and the discipline that he
Hmm.
inculcated in you.
Hmm.
Does Are you trying to say that the way a child is raised as early as even 2, 3 years old, for let's say between 0 to 10, could have a very huge implication in their life?
I believe so. For some reason, I do. Because if you don't, I mean, you know, why is the child, I'll use this as an example. They say if you are teaching a child two languages, for example, if you want the child to be bilingual or whatever, the best
Yes.
time is to start from zero, and they're the most open till the age of 5.
Yes. Even up to 7 as well. They can learn as much
Right, but
language they want
five,
to.
this is like 5 is that year when they say for sure, right?
So true. Yeah,
And
that's true.
there must be a reason for it. And it's not just because they are learning to speak. I mean, age of 7, for example, doesn't know all the words. The vocabulary is not as rich as an adult. Even
That's
some
true.
adults don't have rich vocabulary. So
Hmm.
there must be a reason why they say, because that's like that the biggest developmental stage. Like the milestones they are reaching in those ages are like enormous. If you check, like if you just see an infant, right? When you have an infant, just look at the development in 1 year,
Hmm.
right? The stages that the child can go through just in 12 months. And then look, just one, you have 4-year-old son,
Yeah.
right? And let's say your son is 4 and I don't know, let's say 2 months. And then you see somebody 4 and 10 months is completely different.
Way different. That's true.
This is why I believe, these milestones they are reaching and the way they are absorbing the world and the way they are absorbing you, that routine. I have 2-year-old twins, right? Twin boys. Uh, they know mommy has a shower time. We go to shower. Immediately after shower, and they are 2 years old, they will follow me to the kitchen and they will tell me milk because they know their milk is coming. They're gonna patiently wait for their bottles, right?
Hmm.
And they know after mommy gives me a bottle of milk, they go and they go lay down themselves because they know. And it's not that I tamed my children. You understand? It's not that I don't know, like a dog trained them. It's not about that. I just implemented in them this, and you know what? It provides them security. If
Yeah,
I don't go shower them at certain time, right? They
yeah,
don't know the time, but if I miss the time, they're getting like they start crying because they know what time it's supposed to come.
good. The thing is that it cannot be a one heart fits all solution when it comes to
No.
issues like this. My my question that I will still ask again, I mean, let me play the devil's advocate here. Let's say, for instance,
Hmm.
I'm going back again to those that might be very young. It's not even about being very young. A 40 years old woman might be having their daughter, their child for the first time. It doesn't, age is not an issue here because
The
this is
young
something,
parents,
yeah,
young,
young parents, for
yeah.
instance, that you made an example of 2 years old. My
Hmm.
question is, when exactly did you start with them? Because it's something miraculous at this age and time in which we live to see 2 years old children that discipline. I know
I
some
started
things,
when they were 3 months old.
okay, and 3 months old
Yeah.
was not too young to start a process of that nature.
Listen, I will say it like that. When I had my daughter, I was that young parent.
Okay.
I was new. My daughter, her schedule was all over the place, and I flew with it. And it got to a time that it was 11 p.m., midnight. She was not sleeping. She was not settled. She didn't even show the sign. And I flew with it. But that was not, I was like, the child was leading me. And it came to a point where I had to teach her, like, if not for anything else, for when she started nursery. It was bloody difficult
Mm-hmm.
because she was like, "What do you want now from me? I went to sleep before anytime you wanted me to, and now one of a sudden you are basically forcing me and training me to sleep." I went through hell because of that. So when I had twins, and because they are twins, I was determined at that point. I was like, I can't let that happen because if one is gonna sleep at 8 p.m. and one is gonna sleep at 10 p.m., how is that gonna work for me? Like I have nothing for myself. I have no. So I started then doing the routine with them. And like even if one woke up hungry and the other one was still sleeping, I still woke up the other one and fed both at the same time. That's how I started then. So they were looking up to me, not me looking up to them. That point I realized, okay, I'm a parent, you understand? I'm the leader. I am the one who is responsible for them, for their well-being, and for mine.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to do this. And I was persistent and I've done it. Because I learned also from my daughter that doing this, whatever the child wants and at what time they want, like now I know at 12 p.m. there is like let's say we have snack time because of our daily base, but fine, you know, they know and they also get hungry at that time and it's easier for me. It's not me trying to figure out when they are hungry. Because
Mm-hmm.
with my daughter was like one day it was at 9, one day it was at 11, one day it was whole morning nothing. You understand? So like, should I cook or shouldn't I? Should I go out with her or she's gonna be hungry? You also, as a parent, don't want that disconnection because there is also your life happening, right? You have a child, but your life cannot stop because of that. That's
So
why
true.
I believe that you need to take the lead, and be that role model, because I do believe that with this, when you are implementing this routine inside, you also show them how important it is to have this, implemented in you.
Mm-hmm. That's so true.
Now,
That's
advice, I can't give other people advices. First of all, I'm not trained, I'm not a professional, but like my advice, even with people that I'm talking to, I always tell them, listen, try, like my brother has a child now, right? He's 5 months old. And it's not that like, he agrees maybe with the way I raise my children, or maybe, from the way we talk and stuff. He also maybe doesn't have anyone that he really trusts as he trusts me, and he does come for advices. And just like recently they were going through sleep problems, little boy was, and they were asking me for advices. This is the only thing I can give, like, listen, I tried this and that and this and that, you understand? What are you doing? What's your schedule? What can we change? And I worked with them. I tried to find a solution for them to help them because I know how it is when you are lost.
so true.
But
So true. In fact, I ask this question because I know for a fact I work with young people as well. And I know for a fact that, look, some knowledge, some experience are transferable. Listening, these things that you just explained, someone, whoever will come across this video later on, they will be able to figure out one or two things that will be very helpful to them
yeah.
as parents or even as a normal person. Having a routine is something that is very important in our life. In your professional life, it's important because you can't be here and there without having a direction. It even becomes difficult for others to work with you because if you don't have a routine, it affects other people in their scheduling and everything. That is
Yeah.
really, really important. Even for a child, absolutely important. I agree with you. The timing is where most people are very confused about. And
Hmm.
I'm happy with your experience as well. Like you and I know, every experience is unique. Every child is unique as well. It works for
Hmm.
child A doesn't mean that automatically it's going to work for child B. And
Absolutely.
some of this experience as well, there is no amount of professionality you are going to, because every experience is unique. What a professional might have said yesterday will not even work today. So every
Hmm.
case, whoever is listening to us today, we are both parents. We know our case are different. Every child has his or her own way of reacting to whatever discipline form that they are being undergoing. So study your child and work with professionals as much as possible. You are going to hear stories like this with your pediatrics and pediatrics, yes, pediatrics. Damn, I can't even remember the terminology no more. Pediatrics.
Pediatrics, yeah.
So, at times, living in Italy, instead of saying things in English, automatically the Italian word comes out of me, even without thinking about it, because in Italy it's called pediatra. So
Yeah. It's not
pediatrics,
much different, don't worry.
yeah, of course, work with your pediatrics and find a solution that will match your child. However, one thing that is certain is that having a structure, even for us as an adult, is very helpful. Imagine even for a little child. So Tiasha's experience is this, and I believe your experience with your daughter help you when it comes to the twin that you have at the moment. You said so earlier on.
Absolutely. And
Good.
that's why I said I understand when, when it comes to younger parents that they might find themselves struggling a little bit. But I
Mhm.
always say, you know, sometimes these old schools are not that bad. In certain aspect they are not that bad. Maybe in some ways, yeah, fine, I understand they are not most child friendly. I get that, and that's fine. So we can avoid those things. But like, if you have somebody that you really trust,
Hmm.
ask ask for an advice, or ask somebody. There are groups now on social medias and everywhere when they offer you advices.
Good.
It's just you need to be open enough. And the thing one thing is, we never know enough.
That's
So
so true.
that our pride as parents, I can do that. Of course you can. And it's very good that you have that passion of, yes, I can do it. Because there is too many parents that is giving up on their kids, and I'm happy when they say I can do it. But don't let that pride. It's nothing wrong to ask for help, and it's nothing wrong to Google it, and it's nothing wrong to download an audiobook. I'm doing that just now because I'm dealing with a pre-teenager right now, when the
Hmm.
hormones are already flying, right, and everything. And I feel like I also got like at the crossroad right now, and I need help. So obviously I have nobody to ask like that I would trust enough, and I tend to go to the book, and that's fine. While I go out in a park, I have my earpiece in, I'm listening to a book, I'm doing something, spending time with my kids, but also educating myself. And I find that very important. So just be open to it. And yes, you can do it, and you will do it. So that's those are my words to the parents that might be struggling right now.
Really, this your the way you explain it right now kind of make me wonder, and I will ask because while you were talking, my thought in my mind was this: if you, I know you very well, with
Hmm.
as disciplined as you are and as hardworking, you your experience was this. Does it mean that a parent can never be too prepared before having a child
I
on
think I
child
think you can
on
never
how
be
to raise a
prepared.
child?
I
You can
think
never
I
be.
think you no. And it's one thing you said before is every
Mm,
child is different.
it's different, yeah.
Number one, not every child is born, as I call it personally, a book child.
Hmm.
So you can, like, even I read certain books when I was pregnant with my daughter, and then later realized that, I mean, as much as I loved spending that time reading those books, and they taught me a lot, is nothing that I could use at that moment. It's something that, as the child is growing up, that's when you realize the things that you need, the things that you're lacking, the knowledge you are lacking, the experiences you are lacking, you know? So I personally think that you can never actually be prepared fully 100% to be a parent. First of all, it's a very big responsibility.
Absolutely.
And, it's like, oh, I can do it, I have nappies ready and everything, I'm ready for the child, right? And you can say, I'm ready to wake up in the middle of the night 4 or 5 times with the
Mhm.
infant, right? Or, but are you?
No.
Oh, I'm sleepy now. It doesn't help. It doesn't, and it can go for 2 years of no sleep. Are you ready? You can say you are, but you are never ready, trust me. Because saying it or knowing it are two different things. So,
It's
mm,
unbelievable. I'm kind of disappointed that's how it is, but let's be honest with ourselves right here. This is real life. You can never be too prepared for everything. You know, people even go to university to get a 4 years degree, spend time doing 3 years internship for good 8 years. They come to their job for the first time. They still have to learn everything even after
exactly.
8 years of education. So I
Exactly.
agree with you completely that it is never ever possible to be fully prepared before having a child on how to raise a
Mm-mm.
child. We can only speculate. It's experimental
That's
in
it.
nature. That there is nobody that is actually prepared for it. And for those listening to us, if you have the intention of having a child tomorrow or whenever the time may be for you, knock it off. You can never be too prepared for it. But I will encourage you to have the experience, and your experience will be very unique and different from mine, from Tiasha, and from every other person that you know. Why it is true that we can always rub minds together and get advice from professionals and listen to fellow parents like you, but one can never be too prepared for this
The,
particular thing.
can I just add here? Like, it's fine if you believe you are prepared, and that's very good, right? So go with that. But you also need to be ready, to be disappointed.
So true. So true.
So,
That is how it was in
with
my case.
exactly, I believe you. It's just like go with it. Don't let, like, oh, I can never be prepared for a child, discourage you of having a child, or even trying, to raise to your beliefs or whatever. It's just like go with the flow. I think that the most important here is
Mhm.
believe you are ready, but be prepared you are not.
Absolutely.
That's all you need.
Look,
And
Tasha, I thought that I was a disciplinarian until I had my son.
Mhm.
Honestly, that young man, that young child knows how to get me. He knows the button to press on how
Mhm.
to get me to come down from my high houses and everything. And I must admit, at the moment, I believe in my household we have the only child syndrome issues, being the only child, and at the end of the day, yeah, I'm doing the best that I can. I'm learning on how to have some boundaries. Yes, using the vitamin no, vitamin N in my house is I do it perfectly without any problem. But I there are some time that I wish he wouldn't just get me. I don't know
Mhm.
if the parental instinct or whatsoever, I don't know how to describe it, but I can admit to you with all honesty and with all humility that look, he knows how to get me. He knows how to
it's
get me.
it's it's always the case.
Believe me,
They
and I
they
wish that
they
was
know,
not the
and
case.
what is funny, because I actually read. No, I'm lying. I didn't read. I listened to it.
Hmm.
Um, there are like a psychologist and his wife. She's also into this, raising the kids and doing the work with the children and all of that. And they even wrote a book. But they were just talking about something recently, and this pushing the buttons, right?
Good.
We parents, we are not even aware of when and how we show our children our weaknesses. And this is where that comes when I told you
Hmm.
how absorbing this little creatures, I don't want to use, but like they are just like they're like little aliens. I just don't know you know, how they see that weak spot. Like I'm so like, oh no, I'm tough, I'm stiff, but they know that there is soft part somewhere inside, like you said, there is that button, and they will go and they will reach for it, and they will so gladly press on it and show you that, hey, no matter what you say, I'm still the little boss of you.
It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. This
Yeah,
is so
and they
true.
said we are not aware of that, Pedro. It might be somewhere along the line that you did show him that,
Hmm.
oh, yeah, you can get me. Daddy has that soft spot there. Yeah.
Honestly, honestly, that's the reason why I happen to believe that in my house is he's our only child for the moment. So I even happen to believe that the only child syndrome, because when you were saying earlier on your daughter staying up late before she started schooling, being the only child as at that moment and everything, it's not as if you don't know what you are doing. You could have set the boundaries that you are setting today, even as at that time. Why were you not able to do it? It's not
I
as if
don't
you
know.
were
I
being
feel
neglectful.
um it's a good question, now that I don't know. I felt like I'm always like the way I raised her and the way I'm raising boys, like when it comes to like setting the boundaries when no is no,
Mm.
I see myself being the same. But I was really struggling with, as a new parent. I felt like I didn't want to let my child cry herself to sleep, let's say, or, everything that I did find online or the help that I was looking for, I always found it as not child friendly. Although it was not, like, nobody told me to beat her. You know what I mean? Um,
Yes.
it was just like set the routine, and I was like, oh my god! But I feel so. Yeah, it might be that because of the first child, or maybe the inexperience, or I don't know where I stood here with it. But yes, with the boys, then after, for some reason, I was just like, no, I'm not letting them lead my life. I need to lead.
That
That's
was
where I stood up.
that was a conscious decision, and this is something
Yeah.
that a lot of parents struggle with as well. Being
Hmm.
guilty of that feeling of guiltiness after they have disciplined their child. So with
Yeah.
this, I will ask. I want to bring in two things that are important, which you have made mention of earlier on in our discussion: social media,
Hmm.
and after social media, with social media, I will add tantrum
Hmm.
to it, and the idea of feeling guilty. So, Tiasha, how do you manage? Because you don't not just have just one at home, you have three soldiers in your house. How do
Yeah.
you manage social media time and tantrum when
Hmm.
maybe gadgets are taken away from them, their toys and everything? So, do you feel guilty after making a decision? Because you used the word
Yeah.
routine earlier on. Routine as a word, even for adults, could be very triggering.
Hmm.
So, how do you manage? How do you manage tantrum, social media time, taking away gadgets to establish some boundaries? And do you feel guilty as a mother?
Okay, first of all, I don't feel guilty. And the reason behind that is because I deep down in myself know that I am not causing them harm. I'm actually doing something that is beneficial for them.
Good.
So there is no reason for me to be guilty about it. Secondly, when it comes to boys, we don't have tantrums because I always divert their attention then to something else. So let's say
Okay.
if I turn off the TV and they notice that the TV is off, we start with activity, something that catches their attention, that I get them fully, occupied, and then they forget. So there is no tantrum. When it comes to my daughter, I always tell her, like, let's say it's, before bedtime, let's say the tablet is always set. I have a parental controls over. That's number one. So all the content that I'm not satisfied with is completely blocked. Um, the access on YouTube is only for kids, and even that is double checked by me. Um, Before bed, she is allowed, but the tablet turns off itself, and she knows that after that is no access time. Um, she will, like, in the middle of a day, like she will come from school, and if she grabs the tablet, I tell her no. It's reading the book time, or like homework if she has it, or like we're gonna eat, or I don't know, just stay with the boys for a moment. So I start cooking. I always also divert her and I give her some task that she needs to do instead of that. Now, yeah, she is in the age where she shows me like no, but I said, listen, I said no once. I'm not gonna say no twice, and that's where we finish it. So yeah,
That's
that's in our
that's
house.
that's unbelievable. It is quite remarkable. I'm very impressed by your ability to be able to set the tone and things in order in your household. It is really very remarkable. I must be honest with you. I have one. I know the battle it is, and being able to have that possibility to work together with your younger ones in that
Yeah.
kind of manner, and it should be very very commended. I
The
really appreciate that.
I don't even want a command here, or like people maybe. It's just like what I've done is I always said, listen, if I say no, I'm gonna stick to that no. And it's from young age that when no was a no, and if there was no 10 times, 15 times, 20 times, but I always showed my children that no is a no. I never kneeled down on that. Like, I never showed when it comes to this no, and when I mean no, there is no way you're gonna get me on that. You can be nagging, you can be jumping on your head, you can be banging your head on the wall, you can jump through the window. I'm sorry, no is a no. Because
That's it.
I know that I'm gonna say yes once, I'm done. I know.
I commend your efforts to have to be able to do this. Like I told you, I have a lot of kids around me I work with. This is not the reality out there. I don't know if you
I
know it,
know.
and I hope
I know.
I'm glad that you know it. This is not the reality out there. It is something unexplainable, unimaginable, and that I don't even know how best to describe it. It's so crazy because a lot of parents have even, I will not only say they lost that possibility to manage their responsibility well towards their children, they even doubt their ability when it comes to their relationship with their children. I don't know how best one can revive that, but I quite agree with you. I think, or rather, what I would say is this: I think when it comes to the possibility of parents being able to set boundaries, it is actually parents that are lacking in this aspect, not necessarily the
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah. It's you that are lacking. It's like I always say that that's why parenting is not working on a child, is working on you. Now, how disciplined are you actually? Because we can all say, yeah, I'm disciplined. Are you? Because your child is a very good test to that. And listen, Pedro, I fail sometimes, I
Yeah,
do.
of course.
And then I'm like, no. One thing I'm determined not to do is fail at parenting. Because I want to die knowing that I've done my best, possibly able, for my children. Because if I die, even with that 1% of doubt that I've done everything, I'm not going to die peacefully. I know myself. And I don't know. I believe that we parents, like when you come, again, responsible parents, um, those who know,
In brackets,
yes.
nobody is in
I
brackets.
mean,
So,
listen, we have too many parents who have children and it's like they exist. But when it comes to that parenting and guiding, there is non-existent.
that's so true.
And the society I live in is like it's very easy, today to go to the shop and a child is having a tantrum and you hand him a phone or a tablet. It's extremely easy.
Hmm.
But why? I want to ask these parents then, what did you do for your child? You told your child that it's okay and that your child can misbehave and you're going to reward that behavior. Why? So, on the long run, when the child is good, you're going to leave the child alone, not paying attention to a child, not praising a child, nothing. But when the
Hmm.
child starts misbehaving, you're going to reward him, be it with a gadget, be it with the sweets, be it with a cuddle, be it with the words. And then the child will be like, I only get attention when I'm naughty. Let's go.
Yes.
Let me break the TV.
And that itself reinforces bad behavior.
Exactly. This is why I always say, like, don't. It's funny. No, it's not funny. Bad behavior shouldn't be recognized. Bad behavior should be stopped and not paid attention to. And
Hmm.
if you go and you read the professional books, if you want, like, everybody will tell you the same. It is not bad behavior that should be validated. recognized, paid attention to. It should be the good behavior. When I have, okay, my daughter is older now, but I'm talking about now these 2 year olds that I have. When they're screaming and running around and trying to beat each other up, time apart, I tell them stiffly, we don't do this to each other, and my attention is gone. When they are nicely on a couch, either playing together or watching a cartoon, whatever it is, I always tell them, you're such a good boys. I give them a hug and a kiss. You understand? I let them know that I'm proud of them. When one brings, I don't know, a bottle to another when he's being nice or shares whatever, I praise that.
Good.
But when he wants to bite him, I take them apart. I ask the one that was beaten if he is all right. I don't pay attention to the one that was biting. So my all attention goes to the one that hasn't done anything wrong. Look at him, make sure he is okay, let him know I'm there for you. And the other one is there then all confused, like, wait, what? You see?
Mm-hmm.
They're 2 years old and they understand it already. And then the other one will, because he noticed, oh my god, so he was okay, she gave him a hug. I did something wrong, she didn't give me a hug. And then he'll go and he'll bring me a toy and he will say, I don't know, he'll tell me the color of a toy. And then I'll turn to him and I will say, well done, clever boy. There is no biting recognized, you see? But if I jumped on him, the next day biting again,
Yeah.
because he will know I get attention. So you see,
Being able to create a balance, and
yeah,
that's a lovely one. I'm learning a lot today from what you are telling us, and I hope those that are listening to us, they are picking up these secrets. They might be very helpful. They might be very helpful because we all need to be able to share ideas together when it comes to child
absolutely.
raising our children. It is very, very important because we may not even see it as at the moment while we are talking. The leaders of tomorrow, those that are going to manage the affairs of our society, those that are going to handle the challenges that we face today and the ones that are going to come up again tomorrow are the little children that we are raising today. It is very, very important that we raise them right. And above
Yeah,
all, that they are able to take their place in the society. This is something that every parent out there must endeavor to work upon. I am not talking about perfection here. We don't need a perfect child, but we need a child that will be respectful for themselves and to their fellow human being. Maybe that in itself may even lead to peace that is very lacking in the world today. People that are conscious about the life that they live and they live intentionally. They're intentionally respectful to their fellow human being, not something that comes because it was an occasion that warranted. Being able to show respect to your fellow human being is something that is very, very important. I am being specific about parents today because, as you all know, the first place and the last place of socialization starts with the family. There is
mhm,
only a few times in which the school system or the society in general makes a contributing effort to it. Majority of it, there are just two factors in life that I believe is very, very important for us as adults or as humans. Contributing factors that is external and determining factor that is in within. And it's actually the family, most of the time, parents that are able to help children, parent and guardians in this case, because not everybody have parents with them. I'm just being politically correct, but when I say parents, I hope you all know what I meant with it.
yeah,
It is oftentimes the parents that are able to draw out and help guide, steer their children into taking the right path in life. Tasha, when it comes to even what we are going to study as children, oftentimes the discussion starts with the family,
Hmm.
not from the school that we are going to.
Yeah,
So that is why I believe the role of parents are very, very important when it
it's
comes
the
to
most important.
absolutely. So then we said that the idea of telling children that it is important to have a structure has to start early. But
Hmm.
there is this second aspect of it, which is the external part, the larger society.
Yeah.
How do you raise your children to be aware of the larger society? Let me make an example because the question, even for me, is a bit cunning. It needs to be explained better. When I mean the larger society, you you love your child with everything in you
Hmm.
as a parent. It is not true that when that child go out there in the larger society, somebody else will be willing to die for your child just the same way you would do as a parent. What do I mean with this? Because I love my child and I will do everything for my child, does that give the right for my child to be naive out there and believe that every person that looks like a parent love me the way my parents do?
I I think that this starts from home. I mean, maybe I'm the only one. I don't know, but I talked to my child already about those things. She's 7 years old. I know my time is coming. That it's there are certain conversations that are waiting for me, and I am doing some type of a summary into. Um, Now, I get it. Like, I think that no matter the effort that you put into your upbringing and like the way you are raising children, environmental impact is still an environmental impact. But I believe that when you put some stability at home into your child's mind, and that goes is same routine that we were talking about it, and also a discipline that when the child grows with that, at least to some extent knows what is right and what is wrong. um, what seems warm and what seems cold. um, I think that it's something that we don't have, I would say, a lot of impact on, unfortunately, as we cannot
Mhm.
follow our children 24 hours a day, right?
Yes.
um, but like I'll give you one good example. My daughter, the way she's raised when she started the primary school. um, I noticed at that time, also soon after she got her brothers, so she had like a double of shock, right? And I did
Yeah.
understand her development, how it changed. And I even told her like what happened to my little good girl. But like, and I still struggle with that sometimes, but I went in, if she comes from school with some new word that I do not approve, or like even a term or a sentence of whatever kind that I'm not approving, and that comes out of her mouth, I'm very loud about that. And I make it clear that I will not allow that behavior, not to me, not to anyone outside of our house. And I tell her the reason why, if I do have a reason, that I could give her as a child, you understand? There are
Mhm.
some times when I tell her, listen, this is adult world. I do not want you to use this because of this and that. When you are an adult, then you're gonna understand and you're gonna be allowed. Um, but there is a limit, and I'm very clear on that. Now, obviously, when she goes to school, I don't know what she's saying. Is she using it or not? But I know that in front of me, then she remembers that mommy said no. So at least to that extent, I've done my part, right? Um, it's having to raise a child, especially in this modern world, with the impact of the environment, social media, and everything that follows along. It's extremely hard, because
Absolutely. If
one can
that's the
easily
reason
fall
why I
under
asked
the
the question.
influence. Yeah, that's why I said before that for me, I believe giving my I'll use my daughter because she's closer to that age of, having an impact of the environment and stuff.
Mhm.
Excuse me. Um, I will say like that. I do believe that whatever I implemented into her head from the very early stage when we, you know, good and bad, um, whatever, the kids have questions, and I never actually said, "Oh, don't worry about it." If she had a question, "Mommy, why is this guy sitting on the road asking us for money?" I will explain to my child. And then another question followed. "So how do I know, Mommy, if he's worth of me putting a coin in his bowl or not?" And I said, "That's your decision. Nobody can force you to do good or bad or whatever. You understand? It's your
So true.
decision. Do you
So true.
want, do you feel sorry for this guy no matter his story? Yes, I do. Then put a coin in. You know, you need to sympathize with them. No matter what their story, you don't know. And I did explain drugs and alcohol. And I did explain that to a 5-year old, and people can judge me. I don't care. But I will not tell my child that's not your worry. Because if I tell her at the age of 5 that's not your worry, then why is her worry at the age of 10 or 15? You are raising a child, it's a developmental process. There is brain involved,
Yes,
you
so
know?
true. In
So
fact,
I
that's the
can't take
reason.
something away from you and then give it back to you. Like she's gonna be like, "Wait, hold up. You just told me a few years ago that I don't need to care." I don't care then.
The reason why I ask this question when I bring in the larger society into our discussion is because we don't live within the frame, in the four corners of our house. They go to school, they have peer their friends, peer influence, whether they are less than 10 years old, could be very strong among children
Yeah.
as well. And while we were growing up, like in our case, we were told by our parents not to take candy from strangers, not to talk to strangers and everything. And we live, even though we're in 2024, Tiasha, there is still the issue of child kidnapping and trafficking and everything. It is still very, very
Yes.
much rampant in the world. And especially in this case, you have a daughter as well. So I was, that is the reason why I wanted to know, how do you manage to guide against outside influence from your household when
It's
it comes to.
my child is also taught, like when we are going from school, if
Mhm.
she sees a face that she's not gonna trust, or she finds like the person is acting strange, she comes and she holds my hand.
But
And it's
you are
not
not
it's
with
not
her all the time. You are not with her all the time, Tiasha.
no,
Of
I
course,
am
I know
not with her.
she's young. She's young. We are not talking about adult right here. And you used the word earlier on that, look, when you said earlier on when she's in school, you don't know exactly what she's doing,
Exactly.
but you are at least confident about the fact that some things, some information that will be useful, you have given
Hmm.
it to her already.
Hmm.
Is that sufficient enough? Maybe yes, maybe no.
Exactly that. Yeah.
And as a parent, haven't done that? I think is the best step that one could take. Is everybody doing it? You and I cannot tell because we are not in every house of every family
Exactly.
that lives in the world. But for the fact that we're having this discussion, and for those listening to us that are watching us, I would like you all to at least give a comment. Tell us what you think about this
Yeah.
particular issue. Children are stolen from their families in some countries around the world and are trafficked to other countries, from point A to point B. These are really, really issues that are
Hmm.
challenges to modern day parenting as far as I'm concerned. Nobody has an expertise on this, but as a parent, I think starting earlier, as we have said earlier in our discussion, having this difficult discussion with your kids and bringing them to the reality of the world that we live in. I agree with Tasha for routine, at least starting from 2 years is okay. But with the age bracket of Tasha's daughter at the moment, 6, 7, 8, I think some discussion of trust of strangers has to come into it. I think even 8 is too late already, in my opinion. If the child
I
can talk, maybe we should start. I don't know. Nobody has a perfect idea towards it. But what do you think? When should that kind of discussion start, Tasha?
I mean, I started it very early, like I told you, when we were walking down the roads, even 4 years when she was able to, make better sentences and understanding. And she was asking me, why this? Mommy, who is that? Why is this man wearing makeup? There were all these discussions going on already. And like I said, I've never told my child that's not your worry. I've never like stopped her from exploring. I was always the one who was like encouraging having a conversation. She knows there are people stealing kids. I told her. And I also told her that it's very, important for her to be aware of those things as, when they take you, you never see your parents again. And that's not a lie. And I'm not going to make it nice for her because that's the truth. And truth is not always nice,
And what
you
was her
know?
reaction as young as she was?
She was like, her face was completely like, Mommy, is that really happening? And I said, yes, it is. And it's happening like quite often and it's happening around us. And she said, well, Mommy, that's why, I'm happy you told me, if I see somebody to hold your hand and stuff. And even in school, I told her, if you find something very strange in school, you have adults there. And those adults there are there to help you. When mommy and daddy are not around, they're teachers, principals, helpers in school. So if you have any problem, they are the first people you have to go to.
And as a parent, how do you create a balance between having help from adults? Because Tasha, there is also this other side of this coin. Most
Hmm.
kids in this case, for the father, for the benefit of our discussion, but most people that are abused in life are also from people that they trust, people that
Yeah,
are close to them that they know.
most from those people they trust. Yes.
Good. How do you create a balance for a young child between getting help from a trust friend, an adult, and
Mhm.
guiding herself, being able to talk to you as a parent when things are not that particularly clear, when some adults are beginning to be touchy, telling things that their parents told them about. Like, how do you guide a child from being abused from a trust friend and a family member that are close to them? Have you had that difficult discussion with your daughter, for instance?
Yes, also because I went through the same thing when I was younger. And probably that's the first time I'm ever gonna speak about that.
I'm so sorry, Tasha, if you don't feel
No, no,
comfortable
no,
sharing
no, no,
that.
no, no, no. It's good, and it's good that you asked. I'm fine now. I grew up. I'm past that. Um, I went through that, and I know how it is. That's why I needed to discuss that with my daughter. That's why she knows there is no sleepovers. That's why she knows why she's not allowed to go to somebody's house after school, even for an hour. That's why she knows why it's never gonna happen, even in my house. That's why she knows that she's not, gonna be allowed certain things till certain age because that's like a no go for me, and it's not gonna happen. And it's like just because slightly because of my experiences and what is going on in the world, and like it hurts me anytime I hear the story that is even happening, that it's still happening and it's so much alive, and the fact that There is so many adults that are keep, and I was one of them, who believe that if I speak out, the adult is not gonna believe me. How sad is that? And we are talking about 25 years ago. And I already felt at that point that, my mom might not believe me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was quiet and I was suffering for nothing. While I knew later on when I opened up to her and I told her those things, I was like, why didn't I say that before? Like, I trust my mom about everything and I know she raised me good. And, why did I thought that she's not going to trust me on this? Like, why? Is it like such a touchy topic? Is it maybe the books that I read as a teenager that, certain books made me believe that mom is just not going to believe me? Um, I don't know, Pedro, but that's why I'm keep telling my daughter, whatever happens, can you please talk to me? Because no matter what, you know that I'm gonna do everything in my power to help you until you're able to help yourself. And even at that time, I will still be behind you and I will guide you till the day I die. Because that's what the parent is about. I made mistakes. I learned from my mistakes. I want my daughter to do mistakes. I want her to learn. I'm not going to prevent her, but I'm letting her know now that I am there. And there were like situation in school when the teacher didn't tell me and she
Mm-hmm.
came and she opened up about it 2 weeks later. Pedro, you should see me how angry I was. I was so angry at the teacher. I stormed to school. I trust you. You understand? I give you my child 6 hours per day. I trust you. You are there. You are paid for that. The only thing I'm asking you is be there and show those children, and not just my child. I spoke about everyone in the classroom.
Absolutely.
Don't joke with that. My child was hurt. My child took it serious. It clearly affected her. And I want you, as a parent to a parent, adult to adult, when I come for my child, step out of those bloody doors there, get to my face and tell me what happened. Don't be rushing home. We all have lives to live. I get that.
Absolutely.
But when I'm not there, you are a parent to my child and all those 25, the rest in your classroom. And it's not my fault that you chose this job. So if you are not able to do it accordingly, can you please not do it anymore? Because obviously there is going to come to a time when one of the children is going to get seriously hurt, affected, or whatever. I bursted there, Pedro. Don't play with me. Do not joke with me.
It was necessary, in my opinion. It was very, very
Exactly.
necessary.
It's
And
not a joke, but some parents are sorry. Some parents are just like, oh, yeah, it is what it is. It's not, it is what it is. It shouldn't be, it is what it is. If it's not, it is what it is at home. Why is it is what it is in school? Don't. Boundary needs to be set. No,
I quite agree. I asked the question because I know how important it is, and it's the question is not trusting other people or even adults around you.
it's just
It's
at least recognizing
yes. To
that,
what
yeah,
extent, when things are not exactly what it is, what are those mechanisms, those instruments that they have to be able to inform their parents, and even abuse could even come from their parents as well. So it just as it is complicated for us as parents, life at times could be complicated even for children as well, but that's a discussion for another day entirely. Thank you so much
yeah.
for. I'm so sorry because my intention was not to make you share your personal.
No, don't be sorry. This is part of the life. This is part of my experiences. It was just like, should I bring it or not? More of a not. But
Mhm.
I need to explain why. I take these things even more seriously when it
Most,
comes to this. Abuse of this sort, especially.
For
What I
me,
want to also
okay.
add here is, I am a type of a parent also. If my child is gonna fall and nothing is wrong with my child, and my child is not severely bleeding or whatever, I always say, you're okay.
Yeah.
Let's go, pick yourself up. You're fine. I don't
Good.
do drama about that, but
Mm-hmm.
I always let them know I'm close by if you need me in other things. And that's why I said you need to start from early age, because you mentioned, I'll use it like from sexual abuse or whatever, you understand, it can happen at a very, very early stage. Now it's
It
also
does
you as a
happen over and
parent.
over.
Exactly. You as a parent, did you create a safe environment for your kids? Because there are certain kids, I, for instance, I trust my mom with everything, but it came to that point where I just got scared and I didn't know if she's gonna believe me, because
So,
it happened
pardon.
from a person that she it was my stepdad. I'll just say it. I'm not gonna be beating around the bush. Um and it happened between four walls, and it happened majorly when she was working, and I knew like she's creating a family with him. And I think that I got like just so emotional after her divorce going on, and me, being scared for her emotionally. Like, is she gonna be able to take another disappointment? It was like all these things going on. And it's not that I doubted her that she's not gonna choose me over him. It was more like me trying not to hurt her. And then, all these emotions started coming out, and it took me good amount of years for me to actually tell her,
Tell
which I
her.
regret now.
Yeah.
But we live to learn, and that's why I'm working on my daughter to trust me enough and know that no matter the situation she's gonna find herself in, she always comes first. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Now, am I doing it correct, and which way I'm doing it, Pedro? I don't know. I'm just going day by day and trying to, make her feel secure around me and, trust in me. Like, I don't have a recipe. I just feel like that instinct, it probably like a motherly instinct that comes inside, that I just like express that. Even on the way walking home, I will touch her head and I'll be, you can trust me, right? She's like, yeah, mommy, I know. I'm like, I just want you to know that whatever is bothering you, no matter what, you can always tell me, that. And it's like I'm keep assuring her, and it's like, to some it might be like really stupid or whatever, but I'm just keep making sure, you can trust me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's what I also wanted to put in, because it will come to maybe like whatever, somebody's gonna hurt her in different way. I'm not talking just about, sexual abuse or whatever, but
Of course, we
she
are
might.
speaking in general, so
Yeah,
clear.
it might come to a point where the child is gonna be questioning, like I did, for some reason. And it's very important to know that it's not always the case, and that you need to, provide that safe environment for your child. That's why I believe that it starts from early ages on.
That's true. That's true. I agree with that as well. I 100% agree with that. And when you said that parents should create a safe environment for their children, what do you mean? Because I know having a safe environment might not automatically translate to being able to communicate with parents how things went. So, can you please explain
Mhm.
for our
I
listeners
see it as a
what exactly you meant?
reaction.
Okay.
I see it as a reaction, right? Like, there might be stupid things that bother her at this age, and she's gonna be like, "Oh, this friend got upset because this and this happened, and she reacted like this and that." And although you feel like, "Oh, those are 7-year olds, problems or whatever," I take her problems seriously and I discuss it with her, right? I
Mhm.
go into that level that even as an adult, I'm like, oh really? So what exactly happened? Can you explain to me? And she's gonna explain to me in detail, and I'm gonna be asking questions, like, and I'm interested in a conversation we are having. And then I always like try to ask her like different aspects, like, how did you feel when this happened? How do you think that the person felt when this happened? um do you think that you've done something wrong in this case? Like I'm always asking her question, do you think that like this your friend could do something differently? Did you notice something, you could change, or maybe you could advise her? Like I always go in different, I put myself in different positions and I'm looking at the story from different angles. And that always happens mostly when we walk from school to home. That's our time when we are having these discussions, and I'm always the one who asks her, how was your day? Did something good happen? And I recently also started, like at the end of the day, I always ask her, always, very often ask her, for example, so how would you rate your day today from 1 to 10, 10 being the best and 1 being the worst? Um, is there something you would change about today that happened?
Mm-hmm.
What was the most exciting thing today that you experienced? What was the thing that made you upset today or made you sad? It's those questions that I'm asking her constantly that make her think and make her then, also realize that mommy is interested. She wants to listen. She wants to know how I'm feeling. She wants to know what I'm doing. So I think that like that's what played an important part for me
Okay.
to implement in her.
Okay. It's not just about having a safe environment, it's being approachable, if I understood you perfect. It's your child
That's what
knowing
I
that, look,
meant.
I can share this thing with my parents.
See, before we highlighted this, when it happens to certain abuses or things that
Mm-hmm.
kids hardly talk about, I know for myself it took me years and years and years for me to be now here and telling you openly that I had a very bad experience in my life.
Yeah.
There are people that even up to now, after so many years, cannot speak about it for their own reasons, for their traumas and stuff, and that's okay. And that's same with kids. What I meant establishing a safe environment is that I believe, from my experience, if I had that assurance at all times, everywhere, with stupid things and serious things and all in between, that I believe that, you know, looking back now, that I would feel more comfortable into me opening up to my mom sooner and not thinking about others, but thinking about myself, right? Because
Yeah.
what I did is like, although I suffered more in that situation and I was the one who was severely affected, I
Mm-hmm.
still thought about them before I thought about myself. So it's just like I didn't feel, um, like me, I'm trying now. What I'm trying to tell you now with this, to just to explain it better for you to or and others to understand what I mean with that security and safety, is that safety is not just, oh yeah, they're gonna take care of you. Safety is that, like, providing also confidence into a person and you being able to listen, because there are certain things that, people come to you and they are not looking for a solution. They just want somebody to hear you out.
Mm-hmm.
They are not looking for an advice, they just want a shoulder to cry on. And I didn't want my mom to look for a solution for me. I just wanted her to know, because she was my confidant at that time, and it was sad that I had nobody to talk to and that I felt that I'm alone in the world. Although she did provide some safety, it wasn't in that aspect. You understand? I still didn't feel safe enough that I will be chosen before anyone else. You get what I mean? So here is what I'm trying to do when I said providing safety, my daughter, I'm providing her safety through the conversation, because that's what I lacked. That's where my confidence was lacking. And I'm like coming from within myself, that I believe that, because communication is the key to many things. I also want her to know that in the future, when she grows up, no matter what she's gonna, like, listen, having a problem with your boss is a communication solution involved. You understand? It's like
Absolutely.
you need to talk, and like I put a lot on verbal stuff more than actions in this case, because, like, let's be honest, in my case, which action did I needed? I needed, verbal communication, put my trauma out, tell you what I experienced. Of course, action followed because she sucked him out of our house, of course. But I'm saying that, it's first I needed somebody. You are there, right? You are there for me. Okay, I can trust you. Bam, you pour it out, and then actions follow later. So that's why I said safety with communication level before anything else. My daughter knows that if something happens, I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna knock the door down. She knows I'm a lioness, you understand? She
So,
sees me on everyday life when I'm battling. She doesn't need that. She knows. Or if not me, my husband is gonna go and knock somebody down if it's necessary. That's not even a question, never has been. You know what I mean? But we are talking about that safety different, the mental safety. Yeah,
absolutely.
that's
You
heart
know,
to heart.
I asked the question, our discussion in real sense is no longer for us anymore. It is for those that will come across this work that we are doing, this discussion, and where it will be useful to them, because uh, having a safe environment without the possibility to communicate freely could still be a problem, because safety could be I have a roof over my head, I have a place to run to and everything, but being able to open that free line of communication between parents and their children is something very, very important. I think that is what you've been able to explain beautifully. Having the possibility to communicate with parents, it will be,
Yeah,
and having that assurance that when I say this thing to my parents, it will not destroy the ecosystem of our house, of our family. Even if I'm assured that, look, things will be fine. My
yeah,
loved ones will be there for me, and that brings me to the question that I have in mind that I would like us to reason about. Uh, Seeking validation from an external world. From external world, with this I mean from our classmates, from family members, people that will, because at times when we judge ourselves, which children do a lot, obviously
yeah.
maybe learning these tendencies from their parents. When we judge ourselves, oftentimes it is not because that, look, those people that we put into consideration and putting ourselves in the second position to judge ourselves really, really, really care about us. They may care per se within the confine of, because the law said so. But when it hits hard at home at night, when you are going through difficulties, you use the word not having a shoulder to cry upon. Oftentimes, that is something that those shoulders we only have them within our nuclear family.
Hmm.
It is oftentimes not the extended one or a neighbor out there. I am not saying that a neighbor cannot come in, or maybe a fellow citizen within our city and our village cannot do that. But oftentimes, when we seek validation from outside, it is because something extremely huge is lacking in our inner cycle, in our life, and in our family as a person. So, my
Yeah.
question, therefore, is how do we raise up our children and inculcate that idea of mental toughness within them to avoid them seeking validation from outside? Do you think it's something that is possible, considering
I
your
think that
experience
it's
and everything?
I think that it's very difficult, to put that, because I think that it's also the way you are, like, as a character. Some people are more emotional than others. Some people take it to heart more. Like, we are so different, and I think this is not really something that you can have an impact on as a parent. Excuse me, I'm still a little bit
No, you're welcome. That's
not
okay.
not 100% well, but yeah.
Why
Okay.
before you continue your
Mhm.
I don't want us to forget this, but why do you think even to help you continue your conversation anymore. Why do you think your parents cannot have influence on this?
You can't have an influence on how somebody is gonna feel about themselves as number one. You can't have an influence on your emotions because that's like changing who you are, and you cannot do that. You can guide, right? You can do your best, like maybe affirmations and stuff, but like if a child is overly sensitive to certain things and stuff, I personally believe that you can't really like. I'm tough to certain extent, then I'm soft, you understand? And no matter what my mom could teach me or the environment can, like, that's me. Is the experiences, you understand, that I had over the life that molded me into the person that I am today and the way I'm seeing certain things. Mom did one part, but mom gave me that ability to recognize. I think that that's also like there's something like validation within myself of like who I am as a person. Like you know what I mean. But then other things like I've never been a person who cared what my people think. You know, yeah, first of all, it did affect me for a little while, when bullying was going on and stuff, because I always been a bigger statue. But one thing about me is I've always been the one who was able to very fastly pick myself up and, rise like a, I don't know, like it just get out of it and just be like, who are you? I am the way I am, but that's me. And now I see my daughter, even though I could be telling her that she's not that type. First of all, she takes a lot of things to her heart, you know. The only thing I'm trying to tell her is listen, always make sure that you do things because you want them to do. Don't do things because somebody else told you to do them. That's all I'm asking you. You can never be for, don't let people know that they can guide you, right? But then I hear certain stories when she comes from school and she will tell me something, and I'm like, are you listening what you are telling me? Just a few days ago, we had a conversation. Try, be independent. Nobody can tell you what you can do. Remember that. Nobody can force you into anything. So my job now is just to be keep repeating myself like a broken record. But I can already tell you that there are certain things that, she's her.
That is
So
true.
can I raise it into my child? I strongly believe no, but you can guide through it somehow. That's why I said always, you see that security. She feels like there are certain things that she can trust me with and she tells me. Now whether she wanted an advice, whether she wanted a validation, I don't know, but I always tell her my honest opinion. And I always ask her, like I told you, how would you feel? How did you feel? How do you think the person felt? What would you do different? What disturbed you about this? What made you happy about this? It's always, so I was like, so if she told you you can't play with the boys, how did that make you feel? Well, she was like, she can't tell me. And I said, yes, but did you then listen to her or you still played with the boys? I still
Mm.
went to play with the boys. And I was like, bravo. You've done the right thing because you've done what you felt you need to do. So I tell her why she's done the right thing. Now, if she's always gonna do it, I can't have an impact on that, you know. But it's
Perfect. You,
yeah,
you said it right. Being, mental toughness, being able to increase our level of mental toughness is something that one can learn. It's like being able to make decision. Not everybody is born being able to make decision. Tack, 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 they've done that. No, some people
yeah,
have to learn it. Some people have to grow into it, and that comes by practicing. And oftentimes, our ability to be able to make decision and able to trust in ourselves, in our ability, comes from our inner circle as well. have, imagine a scenario whereby a parent is never able to make a decision that as little as things that even concern their household. They have to call maybe one auntie here, auntie there, or a friend from nowhere. It is always good to ask for advice on issue, but if it becomes something that you never do anything without asking the other person, and your kids see all of these things, they grow up with you over a long period of time, they end up doubting themselves as well. If they ever have to do anything, they are never able to make a decision and go for it. It is not that every children will be this, but oftentimes a continuous exercise that they continue to see repeated for a very long period of time and then end up affecting them personally. So when it comes to seeking validation at times, parents too can help. When you have a structure, just like the example you gave, telling your daughter telling you about the story of what happened at school, that she played with the boys, even when somebody else told her she can't be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, she trusts you enough to even relate a story like that to you,
Mm-hmm.
and you you kind of reinforce that idea of being able to make decision without waiting personally on what the other person said, either good or bad. Did she made a mistake? Fine. Did she did the right thing? Fine. But one, like they said, the taste of a pudding is in eating it. You have to eat it to be able to do that. Even that little exercise, that was a huge parental exercise that you did there, reinforcing positive value, which is something that she did. Even having confidence too comes from exercise.
Mm-hmm.
So if you continue to punish a child for making mistake, you are telling them that making mistake is a wrong thing. So
Let me be clear. Sorry, let me just jump here, please. We as parents tend to just protect our children from making a mistake. That's not our job. Our kids can never learn if they don't make mistakes.
so true.
So let's be clear. Your kids need to make mistakes to learn, because although we are telling them, if she doesn't experience that, how will she know that mommy was right or wrong? So let kids do the mistakes. We can't prevent them from mistakes. God forbid. Because we are then raising a big failure. I'm sorry to use that word, but that's how it is. The world is not perfect. There is gonna come time in life when these kids are gonna become independent. You understand? Like,
That
what are you
is
gonna
true.
do then?
That is true.
You know,
Our title of this discussion today is challenges, the challenges of modern day parenting. How do we
which I
raise our
understand.
children? Yeah.
But can I just ask, please, because that's very funny
Yeah.
to me, and
Good.
I hope it's okay. But the
No,
person that always calls somebody for an advice, who did that person call for an advice to have an unprotected sex with? I mean, like, you call, so you were able to make a decision to have an unprotected sex, which the child was born out of, but you're
mhm.
not capable of making any other. That's like, oh, don't do don't do that. Like, there is at least some responsibility that needs to be aware of. Like,
Tiasha, you will be surprised
I know
how
that I would
very
be, but it's
feeble.
just like, you need to also understand me, where I'm coming from, because people like that, I mean, I see them, Pedro. I see them every day. We have child at school. Obviously, I see parents. You can tell. Trust me, you
Absolutely.
can tell. Anytime you see somebody, even the way the conversation goes, you're like, oh my god. And I'm not like I'm perfect parent, but even to,
No,
to tell your child, we are friends. No, we are not friends. Stop with that. So
honestly,
yeah.
when we started this discussion, when the word routine came in, I
Mm-hmm.
heard I heard about 2 years ago that using even the terminology creating routine for children is it's very crazy to be a parent today. You hear some subsection of the society saying this one thing is good, and another huge number of people saying no, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't. Even as a parent, I believe a lot of people are confused. I heard the word routine in a circle where issue of child raising children were being discussed. It was like one of the most scandalous thing that one could ever say using the word routine. Like I'm like even a lot of people that are expert in child raising always talk about having a structure, having a routine. How, since when did it become a problem that I didn't know up to that day? So some people, believe me, Tiasha, are very, very confused. They don't know the right step to take when it comes to issues like this. They even end up going to meet people that, for whatever reason, have never raised a child in their life that happens to be an expert in this field. At times, even Tiasha, who we seek expert advice from, are crazy places that people shouldn't even be going. I
No,
believe this. Am I wrong? I don't care. But the thing is that you are not an expert simply because you've read these things in books. You've never practiced it. Look, Tiasha, if you don't know, if you have never had a child, a newborn baby at home that doesn't sleep at night, can you really give me an advice on how to put a child to bed sleeping at night? A
no,
child, 3 months, 6 months, 6 month old child that is not sleeping?
no.
Let's be honest here. This is something that you've never done. You probably watch a video on YouTube. You probably read it on a book. Really,
Mhm.
do you know how crazy it is for you to have done 8 hour shift and come back home? You have a child that is not sleeping. You have to wake up the following morning by to be in the office by 8 in the morning. These are things we parents face. That's the reason why I believe at times, even who we go to for advice is very, very important.
That's why I said, right, even before, like I completely get this new parenting. The problem is we became, I don't know, obsessed with I need to know everything, and if I don't know everything, it's just like end of the world. Like, why don't we admit that we are not born with knowledge? Like, I'm at 35 years of age and I'm not, you know, I don't know, the most intelligent human being on this world. Like, and I don't even want to come across like that. You know what I mean? But
We
it's
are
the fact
learning.
that exactly, and as I can learn from you, because I see, like, I might do thousands of mistakes. You understand? And thank God that I've done it with my first child. I've learned. I'm trying to fix it. If No, I'm not having another, set of whatever children. I don't know, but I'm saying that it comes in life, like you go through through different levels, and I mean that's fine. Where my problem stands is that even though you're inexperienced, is this, asking for help? Like, why is that such an ego downer? Like, why do you find that so ego hurting? Like, why don't you ask for help? Why don't you ask for an advice? Like, why? And we all humans are now just made like that. Like, can please somebody just give me a why? Like, you need a help with a child, and I get it that not every advice and every help is gonna be for the best of your child or like with good intentions. But can
Mhm.
you please at least ask for it, get it there on a silver platter, delivered to you, and you decide? You know what I mean? It's like your child the best, and it's like every parent is like, I know what I'm doing. Okay, if you know why you are doing, then why you are going through this? Like, if I knew what I'm doing and that everything that I'm doing is perfectly fine, then I wouldn't be having this all experiences that I just shared with you, even
So
happening in
true.
school. You understand? I can do my
Mo-
part, but I might even
Most
be doing
people
it
don't
wrong,
want
and
to.
that's what I meant exactly. This
Most
is,
people don't
yeah,
want
this is
to
where,
admit their error or even
and it's
admit the
that
fact that they
ego
don't know
constantly.
much.
Yes.
That's so true. That's so true. The thing is that for a child to have high self-esteem, the parents have to be able to contribute to that as well. If parents have very low self-esteem and are arrogant, at times it affects the children as well. You made example to it earlier. You made an example out of it earlier on when you were talking about maybe parents arguing every now and then in the presence of their children and everything. All of this because for a child, like us adults, it is not what we say, it is the examples that they see, the action that they see us take. If you are not able to make a decision, have boundaries and everything, you end up not only the children manipulating you, they become even people like that as an adult. It becomes you don't become what you don't see. And what
True.
we see in our family is oftentimes more than 70% of what we exhibit outside. It is the way we carry ourselves, it is the way we approach other people, it is the
Hmm.
way we do virtually everything.
Yeah.
The larger society, which is the contributing factor to most of the things that happen to us in life, have even less than 10% of what happens to our life, what happened in our life. Majority of it is the inner cycle that we have, even in business world, in self-development coaching that they talk about. They keep saying that look, your first five people around you, the first five people around you, you are likely going to be like the first five people
Hmm.
around you, the most
Yeah.
innermost part of yourself. I don't believe they are lying because for the past 30 years they've been saying the same thing, and every research continue to repeat it. So if your family is disorganized, in bracket, oftentimes one lack structure, one lack most of these things that they need to survive in life. And that is the reason why Tiasha, even though for the idea of feminists and everything, most of us may not agree, when a father is also absence of in the picture in the family, and you don't have a strong mom like in your case, is disastrous, believe me. The prison statistics and
I
everything
see.
when
I see this even Pedro where I am, and I don't know Italy. Unfortunately,
good.
maybe you're gonna be able to put some, highlights on that. Um, when I moved here, all I saw was kids misbehaving. That
Okay.
my first thing that I noticed here was like, even on the buses when they go to school or from school, the attitudes, the behavior,
Mhm.
like, to the elderly and stuff. I was shocked.
You see?
I was so shocked. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, we're talking about Western world. Everybody believes in this UK, I was like, am I really gonna raise my child into this?
But
That's
that is very
why I'm putting so much effort into it. And I tell her, and I use the term for her. I tell her I will never, until the day I die, allow you to be one of those street kids.
perfect.
That's gonna happen over my dead body only, you know? And this is what I'm keep telling her. Do you wanna be one of them? Do you want people walking down the street look at them the same way we are looking at them? Do you want that for yourself? Do you want to be on a spotlight because of bad things or good things? And I'm just shocked, and I know what you mean because there is so many disorganized and undisciplined parents around that. Yeah, I know why. I completely get it. But the conversation that we are having, I'm hoping that it's gonna reach those that are new to this or are starting that, to give them like there is hope. Like you can be raising your kid accordingly in this crazy world. You just need
Perfect.
to, you shouldn't bow down, and that's important. And for those that are in it and are lost, find yourself. Don't find your child. You have to find yourself because
So true.
parenting is working on yourself, not on your kid. And that's all that
That's
it is. And once you have that set in your head, you can go ahead with it, you can do it. Like if you don't have discipline, then I'm sure that the discipline is going to be good for you as well. If you don't have a routine, fine, establish it. I'm sure you're gonna, depend on yourself more than you're gonna be trusty of yourself with it as well. You know,
It
um,
it
it's
is so
so much
important. I
with it.
agree with you. I agree with you that it is
Yeah,
possible, and thanks to the possibility that I mean, we give ourselves to be able to have this discussion today, because at
yeah,
the end of the day, we all know one thing that is a given is that there is a whole lot of challenges facing us today as a society, and it's even more complicated for us that have young people that we are raising for
yeah,
us as a society as a whole, because from we have made a lot of improvement as a society. The world is interconnected. It is possible for one to be here today, just like we are doing. I'm in Italy. I'm talking to you in the United Kingdom, where you live and with your family. We are communicating. The distance has been so reduced that one could be in point A in the world today and know exactly what is happening in point B and C.
yeah,
So we might think that for the fact that we live here, our life here is different. Our children are going to meet people from India, Malaysia, Burkina Faso, Australia tomorrow. So the earlier we begin to think of better ways to raise them to be able to live in the world entirely, to carry themselves accordingly and be able to take their place in the world, I continue to insist on it. Our gain, our aim, I agree with you on one thing that you said earlier on, is not to make it possible that our children do not make mistake. They are definitely going to make mistake. I believe that our major objective should be how best we raise our children for them to take their place in the world. I know it become rhetoric this time around, but I've been saying it because I genuinely believe that's the right way to go. Because who is going to decide peace or war tomorrow in the future? Our children. They are the ones that are going to lead the global politics. They are the ones that are going to lead the global economics and everything. I believe in capitalists or I don't believe in capitalists doesn't mean there is not going to be a fight over natural resources in the world tomorrow. Because if you live in a part of the world that you don't have it, you are definitely going to be able to find a way, a means to negotiate with others that have it. Are we going to fight over it like we're doing right now? The decision has to be in the hands of our children tomorrow. But if we do not raise them well and let them know the importance of respect between each other, it's going to be a problem for all of us. I am saying this as a person that was given birth to in Africa that is now living in Europe, a European by all means via naturalization and everything. But I do know for a fact that my child that I'm raising here today is going to have something to do, one way or the other, with somebody coming from Africa tomorrow. So, why do I make this analogy? Is this, Tiasha? What is the best way for us here in Europe today, knowing all the problem that we have within the family, within our immediate society, but we are going to raise someone that we have one thing or the other to do with somebody coming from a different world entirely from what they know.
hmm,
If my child meets people from South Africa tomorrow, how will he react? Do you think that we as parents we think of these things when we raise our child? Because oftentimes we are within our echo chamber, we don't even agree within our family. We have issue with this, issue with that. Fine, but we are raising the new man and the new woman and the new whatever tomorrow. That we not only interact with somebody within our family, within our immediate society, but with the world as a whole.
yeah.
Do you think that we are prepared as parents
I
with the job that we are doing today? Can you vouch for that?
generally no,
Generally, of course, I'm speaking generally, of course.
no,
What should be
no.
done?
'Cause listen, if that was the case, then there would be no discrimination, bullying, racism, abuse of any sort. There will be no, noticing differences. There would be no pointing fingers at anyone if that was the case. So generally, no. Are we ever gonna be ready? Unfortunately, no. Do I want us to be ready? Oh hell yeah, 100 years ago. But it's I don't know how you decided on on this, or you even thought about it. I personally, I am very big on that because I knew that no matter what, my child is gonna stand out. My child is my children are dark in complexion. Uh, no matter where on this planet they go, because of the skin complexion, they are gonna stand out. There is no society, dominant society, that is
Hmm.
like them, right? Even if they go to Africa, they're different, although they
Yes.
are dark skinned. If they go to, I don't know, South America, they're different. You know, if they go to Barbados, they are still different. There is no society like them. So I did put a lot of thinking into it. And
So
yeah.
how do you manage to prepare them to manage that uniqueness that they have? Because that
Uh,
uniqueness could be a weapon and could be it could be an opportunity and a weapon at the same time.
mhm. um, I thought I'm doing a very good job, which recently proved me wrong. So I need to redo it and reestablish how I'm gonna tackle this issue. I've always been big on affirmations, especially my daughter, and being a girl and being different.
Hmm.
Because I think that in general, when it comes to societies, uh, women population is judged more than men in general. So I kind of did start very early. You have nice curls, you have nice skin. People go to you know different places, different skincare, and tanning themselves and stuff to be like you. So you need to take it as a good thing. Putting that into her, like, you're beautiful the way you are, you are unique. Even mommy, when she was younger, wanted to be like you, and look at me now. I don't have daddy of darker skin. Look, I'm all white. I'll always be white. Even if I go on a sun, I can never be as beautiful. Which proved me that as much as I thought that I'm doing a good job with just affirmation and making her secure about who she is, proved me
Hmm.
just 2 weeks ago that that's not the case, because she cried, um, wearing a princess costume for a World Book Day, because she said there is no other princess apart from Tiana that is dark skinned. My heart broke.
Wow.
And it's something that it's I was sitting there, I was like, how do I do this now? Like, I'm at square one. I thought that I'm doing my perfect job, being all confident, and look at us now. And then it went.
But where did she hear that? Was
I have no
somebody?
bloody idea. It's probably she's at that age when you open Disney books and stuff, you see all white, 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 white. Well, apart from Tiana and
Hmm.
Princess Jasmine of Aladdin, right? But that's a whole another thing. There
Yeah.
is no other princess. But then at the same time, she was also the one who spoke about the new, Ariella movie
Hmm.
that came out. My daughter was one of those that was opposing it at the age of 7. Imagine. When we saw it still makes me laugh. Sorry. um, it was like a banner, of course, when they were like advertising it, and she was like, "Mommy, can I ask you a question?" And I was like, "Yeah, go on." She said, "Can I ask why did they make a new movie with Ariella being black?" And I was like, "I don't have an answer to that, because they want to give a chance to darker complexion people as well." they don't want to offend anyone because they believe there is no color that is different and stuff. And she's like, yeah, but that's not fair. Original Ariella was white. She lives in a sea. Can you please explain to me how can somebody of darker complexion live in a sea? Like, duh, there is no sun down there. And she's like, oh, chill, child. But the way she saw it, you see what I mean? So
Yeah,
I
of
was
course.
confident that I know what I'm doing until this reached me. So we had like a deep conversation about it. I told her if something happened to her that really affected her, and she said no. And I said, so why does she feel different? She said, "Mommy, because I am different." And I
So
was like,
true.
"So how do you see that the difference?" She was like, "Sometimes it upsets me because I want to be like others." And I said, "So what do you see good in that?" And she was like, well, right now, nothing. And I said, well, but try harder, try find something within you. Like, why do you think that it's good that you are different? And then she took some time and then she later came to me and she said, I get what you meant now. It's good to be different. If we are all the same, it's boring. So it's like, well, there you go.
So
You see,
true.
there you go. So then later she went like a little Red Riding Hood and we solved the problem. But I mean, solve the problem for that day. You know what I mean? It's something that I'm at
So
square one
you
now,
had
and
a
I'll need to work on
conversation.
it.
You had a conversation concerning the issue.
Yeah,
And that right there, Tiasha, is how you build confidence in children. And that is how you mitigate or you displace that thought in their mind of seeking validation from the outside world. What you
yeah.
did
Well,
right
I would
there.
like to believe that. I would like to believe that. Yeah. So
But look at the
I
beautiful
hope that.
conversation you had with her.
Yeah. But it was also, something because you see, this is where I said before, right? For some reason, like, although I know everything, it was still for me not. How should I put it? It was more hurtful, like to me as a parent, that although that I did put certain energy, that's why I relate to some extent with those that are trying and they are still failing,
Of
failing
course.
into like children not being, easily guided. That's why I can relate to a certain extent with them and like I can sympathize with them because I felt like all the energy that I invested was lost in that moment. I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
it hurts you because your child feels like that. Then, it hurts you because you thought that you are doing the best, but you are still failing because you want to be that perfect parent, right? And it's just so hard, it's
You
so
know,
hard.
Tiasha, even for us as adults, some things in life can only be managed. You don't have solution for them.
Yeah.
As humans, at times we don't want to admit it, we don't want to accept it. But the fact is that there is no amount of law that is going to be passed to cancel out racism in the world. I'm a black man living in Europe, and I am saying this, and I ask anyone to challenge me. There is no law that you can pass anywhere in Western world. I want to be specific that is going to cancel out racism. But I live in this society. I know that for me to navigate myself around the society, I have to be able to manage this thing called discrimination and racism. I'll give you an instance. For instance, I live in a country whereby it is practically difficult for people, my fellow citizen, to rent their apartment to a person of my skin complexion. Do they have a reason for this? Yes. Is it right? No, it is 100% wrong. Their reason, is it valid? Maybe for them, yes, but for how long? How long are you going to continue punishing subsection of a society because of what somebody did 10, 15, 20, even as recent as yesterday? Are we not trying to say that it is not okay to punish other people for what somebody else might have done? There is no law anywhere stating this. These are conversations that I will be forced to have with my child tomorrow because I haven't done it. My son is just 4. I haven't done it. You are fortunate enough to start having some conversation with your child already. But I am telling you, Tiasha, that as a parent, it disturbs thinking about it. I kind of get mad. How do I tell my child in a society where the law simply said that we are all equal before the law, but darling, we are looking for an apartment. They refuse us an apartment because I am from Africa and I am black. Can you imagine telling a thing like that to a child? Look, we're about to go and live in a foster home because I can't rent an apartment because I am an African, I am black, and they don't rent apartment to people of my race that are not millionaires or billionaires to buy apartment for themselves. This is the society that I live in. I don't know the state of things in the UK, but the country that I live in, as we speak right now, this is the situation. What do I do? Kill myself? No. But the guest that was supposed to come with us tonight have an issue of this nature already because she has a daughter that is of almost the same age like you. Can you imagine explaining to your child that, look, I have money, I could afford it, but for the fact that I am an African, the agent, the housing agent, I mean, the renters are saying that house, the property owners don't want people of my descent, of my race.
This boils my blood so bad that I can't even tell you. I'm trying to hold myself back now from either tearing up or saying something wrong. Um, Fortunately, here in UK is not that severe case. I mean, look, we are renting, you know what I mean, and it's not the
Uh,
first place we are renting either. So, um, wow, how do you raise child? I don't know, Pedro. I don't know. I'm also lost at this. I'm just keep providing the affirmation and telling her that it's okay and that it doesn't matter what the world thinks of her. But is that enough? It's something. Racism is or discrimination of any other sort is so hard to tackle. And she had a comment in school.
mhm.
Obviously, she was for 2 years in a classroom. She has been the only of darker complexion
Good.
until this year. After some months, a girl from Nigerian descent joined. So
Yes.
obviously, she was even darker than my daughter. Now, my reaction to that was, this girl is new. Ayin is my daughter. She's gonna probably be, able to relate to you the most.
Mhm.
You know how it is when stand out to a certain extent. Um, so just make sure that you help this girl make herself feel accepted and comfortable, and
And
my
at
daughter
home.
immediately fell into it, and she was really trying to help her until not until she was still helping her, but there was in between that a comment made to my daughter of one of her schoolmates directly to
Mhm.
my daughter's face, like, I don't like dark skinned people. And my daughter's reaction, although my daughter, she was talking about the Nigerian girl, but
Yeah.
my daughter's reaction was like, oh, really? And she pointed on her skin. She said, well, okay then. She was like, no, no, not you. And she said, what do you mean? Are you blind? So that was my daughter's reaction, which was confirmed by the teachers as well. So that's
Mhm.
how I know that it was true story. Um, but it affected my daughter later. It came behind her after some time when she started realizing that that friend she took so dear to her heart made that particular comment. and there was some crying going on at home, and my heart was breaking, and I didn't know what to do. For the first time, I was like, oh my God, like as much as I was telling myself that I know that I'm gonna face with this at some point, I'm really not ready. Like I thought that I am and I'm not. This is something you are never ready for. How do you tackle this? What do you tell the child after she has been hurt? You know? Uh Now one of a sudden mommy is again gonna tell me that I'm beautiful, but she doesn't need that in that moment. What does she need? And I was at loss, Pedro. Does she need just me to hug her and tell her it's gonna be okay? Does she need me to, repeat the affirmations that she's beautiful the way she is? Does she want me to get angry with her? What does this child want or needs, even more importantly?
You
You
know,
don't know. And people out there need to be aware of one thing. Whoever is gonna come across this video, please teach your children. Racism is a taught behavior. Let me make that clear. You are not born racist. The girl's words she used at the age of 6, 7 are not something that came out of her just because. She heard it somewhere. And I am really, whoever is gonna be watching, please, I'm begging you, speak to your children to the best of your knowledge. Be it of your children of color, without color, biracial, it doesn't matter. Speak to your children. Let them be aware of the differences and how to accept them and how to tackle with that. Even if you don't like somebody, you don't say it out loud. You need to teach your kids, and it's very important. Like they asked me at that time, did you go to this parent? And I was like, you want me to speak to a racist about racism? So what do you want me to say? Because this behavior came from a parent or a sister or a brother, but it came from a family.
definitely
So
it
how
has
do
an
you
origin.
exactly, so how do you want me to go to this parent and tell your daughter made a racist statement? But which planet are we living on? Because let me just be clear on one thing. I wouldn't be talking nice. First and foremost, I wouldn't be talking nice, okay? Because that's one thing I cannot and I will not stand. But please tell me, how can I actually approach a person, a parent, a responsible adult about stuff like that?
It's
Because
very
I
easy.
know that it's from there. I know that it's from there. I'm million, not million, I'm 10 million% sure.
It is difficult, Yashan. That is just one of the example. I live, when I said I may not be able to articulate my idea very clearly for a lot of people. I may not be able to even ask the right question, but I am somebody that think a lot. When I ask the question, how do we raise our children to take their place in the world? I factor in it is after a very long thought process. Like, look, I know for a fact that my child is going to grow up in this society. This is his home.
Yeah.
And my fellow citizens that are black, white, whatsoever, it doesn't matter to me. But how do I explain to my little angel that I am followed everywhere I go in the supermarket? Even when the record shows that the percentage of those doing shoplifting are not even people of my complexion. Can you imagine
Hmm.
a thing like that? How do I explain to my son that when I speak, other people can speak and make noise in the bus or in the train, it's not a problem. But when it is my turn, when I speak with a high pitch or whatsoever, everybody have to ask me to bring it down. You
Hmm.
know, how do I raise this how do I raise this young man to be able to
The,
take his place in this society? So the question for me is personal.
I know, Pedro, and it hurts like hell. It hurts me, it hurts me. It hurts me for all of you because I know what is going on. And even if people say no, and they say racism is illegal, right? It's not legal to use this racism terms and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, and people really care about that. And you also, let's be honest, even when you are racially abused, your priority at that moment is not to really report the person. There are crimes going on that are bigger of a bigger multitude, right? It's like it's not something that is even gonna be paid attention. They're gonna laugh at your face, although there is a law protecting you about that. So let's put that out as first, right? Um, my husband is a bouncer, um, 2 days a week.
Mm.
He was spot on. He was
For
called
real?
all kind of yeah, he was called all kind of names because of his skin color. There he was being slapped, like physically attacked because of that. I mean, obviously he's a bigger statue, so unfortunately the guy
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
regrets it today. But
yeah, but Richard
I'm
is the most
saying
loving person, like the most jovial and love and welcoming person you could meet.
I'm so happy
Telling
you
me
know this side of
like
him.
you are telling me about somebody that I know. Come on.
Yeah, Richard is also a dragon when you provoke him,
I
thankfully.
know. I know. That does not mean that he
What
doesn't know how to defend himself, but it's somebody that is very welcoming and approachable. That is, I can't
exactly? But that
imagine
doesn't
somebody going
matter,
to that extent.
it doesn't matter because
No,
this
no.
before your personality, your skin color is seen. You know, like before they even give you a chance to speak out, they see how you look,
Tasha, that's
and
my
that's where
question.
the
How how
I know, and I wish I could take all the pain away from all of you guys. And that's why I said the only thing that I, as a parent of also biracial child, and like seeing what is going on, the only thing that I like, my advice to myself and those parents is just be honest with your child.
punto, the point.
'Cause there is no making it sound nicer. There is no, you can't go around about it. It's like this is the reality. This is what it is. Why is it like that, daddy, mommy? I wish I knew my child, but it's happening. It's very common. It's very hurtful. You're gonna come across that in your life probably as soon as you are able to step your foot out of this apartment alone, or
My
even
question
before.
my question is, when did you start with this kind of this discussion and even deep for adults? When did you start?
I
Is it
I tell her every
Did
day.
we when an incident happened before we start, or is it a
N-
way
n-
to prepare?
no, I said it before. We were using I personally started, like, even when she asked me, mommy, what, like, for example, why does this man wear makeup? That's how the conversation about differences came across.
Hmm.
And I remember that particular conversation about that man wearing a makeup. She asked me, is it normal? Right? And I was like, oh. And I was like, listen, it is not normal as a society would recognize something as normal, but it is happening. And then she asked me, is that okay? And I said, I'm not the one who needs to answer that. Is it okay for me? It's not my thing. Does it bother me? No, because it's not my thing. It's none of my concerns, you know? And
I,
then I was like, listen, it's the same like you. Some people might ask, why are you of different color than them? Is that normal? It is not normal for the society we live in because there is not a lot of people of different races or like mixed race, right? We live in a different society. There is no society that you would be normal for because of your mixed race, but that's okay. Are people disturbed by it? Probably. Are people gonna talk about it? Most probably. Is it gonna affect you? Most probably. The same is with this man that is wearing a makeup. It's not normal. He's different from majority. Is he accepted? Yes, by some, no, by others. You see where I'm going from? And it's like
Yeah.
anytime there is a conversation about this I always bring that in then. And I always let her know you are not in a place to judge. That's what I'm teaching her all the time. And not just because the fact she's different, but because it's humanly wrong in my eyes. But I want her to understand that regardless of whatever, she has no place to judge
So true.
for somebody being different, right? And
Yeah.
a foremost reason is because she's also different from the society. And that's what I'm trying to teach her that does makeup on the guy disturb you? Even if it does, don't say it,
It's none of your
right?
business. Like in the sense that like
Exactly,
it is not our obligation. It's not something we are not obliged to comment on
exactly,
certain things, first of all. And secondly, the law did not put us as an authority over those things. It is very,
exactly.
very important that we respect those, their choice, whatever it is, in as much as they are not infringing on our rights. And we
Yeah.
also do not infringe on their rights. Those things are very, very important to pass on earlier on to our kids. I
Yeah,
100%
that's
agree
why you see
with
this
that
is the
approach.
only advice. Yeah, this is why that's the only advice that I would give to anyone. First of all, be honest to your kids. And whenever there is a conversation about the differences made, also make them aware of them being different. You prepare them on that, with
Yeah,
kind
that's
of a.
that's a very nice strategy. I mean, I'm happy that we have this discussion because I've never thought of it that way. What I learned from this discussion right now, this your last intervention is a look. It is possible to chip in an argument. That is, you expand the argument, the question from that first one that they asked, you expand it to area that it might even be very closer home to them as a person. So
Mhm.
that's
It's
that's a
always,
very good.
you're what I'm doing is, especially with her all the time, I'm mostly like reflecting,
Mhm.
whatever type of conversation we have. I don't know why I find that so important, but I feel like I'm also making her think differently, seeing from different angles. Like all the
It's a very,
conversations that I'm having with her is more like reflecting back. Like she
that's
will
a very
ask me,
nice
why is this
approach.
person homeless, right?
Mhm.
And I'll be like, listen, we write different stories in life, right? Some people, the story they write, they succeed in it. And that might be us today.
Mhm.
But we might come to a chapter in our life that we are not going to write very good.
Yes.
And we might, you know, face the consequences of not a very nicely written book, so to speak.
Mhm.
And we're going to lose the roof above our head. Now, are we going to be judged because of that? Most probably, yes, because most people that end up on the street are people that are judged. But would I always ask her then, would you like to know their story? And if you ended up there, would you find it important that people know your story? You
That's a
see,
good.
I'm reflecting back.
Yes, 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 yes. That's I really I thank you so much. I like your approach, and I hope that a lot of us, if not completely the same way, but at least we take these things into consideration. I really we encourage each and every one of you that come across this video, share it and pass it around so
Yes,
that
please.
other people will be able to take advantage of this knowledge that we share tonight concerning these issues. I know that it is not easy. It is not easy for anyone. Like I said earlier on, one can never be very well prepared for raising their children. It's something that you continue to learn every blessed day, and
Yeah,
having an open mind will really help. Nobody has it all. We are all learning, and you may not even be in a mixed marriage or in an interracial relationship. For the fact that you have a young child that has to grow up, that is yet to grow up and lead the society that we're living in today, because our time, whether we agree or not, is going to come and pass. So they are the one going to be, we are going to leave our legacy behind for them. The world is going to be run by them tomorrow. My question,
definitely.
therefore, is, are they going to continue with the way that we fade the world and the society that we live in? We fight ourselves, we are jealous of each other. We have very, it's a shame that we live in a world that is full of resources. We don't even know how to manage it within ourselves. Rather, we fight and kill ourselves over it. We have a very huge advancement in health and medical facilities, but at the same time, very large number of people around the world do not have access to good health care. So why is it like this? These are challenges that our children are going to be faced with tomorrow. They may likely be able to find solutions that we today are not able to find. We see the other person, our neighbors, as a threat today. But I hope this will not be the situation, or this situation will not remain the same when it's our children's turn to lead the world. That is why, for me, it is important that this discussion we have them. I have said it over and over again. And for whoever cares to know, I am going to say it again. How do we raise our young ones, our children, for them to take their place in the world tomorrow? We are not going to be here in the next 100 years, but they will be here. The people that fought the Second World War, majority of them are no longer with us again today. But here we are, as we speak right now, there is war in Ukraine, there is war in Yemen, and in war in most countries around the world. When they fought the Second World War, it was their wish that something like this do not happen no more. But we continue to allow history to repeat itself. Colonialism, in large, direct colonialism in its raw form and explicit, no longer exists in the world today. But who has followed international politics and see the way we treat each other could admit that even though colonialism no longer exists in the way it used to be up to even 60, 70 years ago, when most countries in Africa were still under colonialism, it has been transformed. Some call it neocolonialism, some call it imperialism, whatsoever, whatever name you choose to call it. I don't care. All I'm asking you is that we do better raising our children so that those problems will be resolved. They don't have to go through those things that we ourselves have gone through. I, for one, did not experience colonialism firsthand, but that is not to say that I do not face my struggles. In my case, just like Tiasha, in her case, we face her struggles because I happen to know, living in Europe for more than 10 years, that look, the war that we face in our individual life is different. Being a European doesn't mean that you had it on a platter of gold. Some people in Western world are doing job that they do not like. It is practically impossible for one person, one parent to work to be able to take care of their family. You know, a lot of things are going on in Western world that is complete opposite of what people have in the part of the world that even those in the West called third world country and the rest. Where am I going with this? Is just to be able to remind you that look, whether we are agreeing with each other with the type of things that we suffer from, but the challenges that faces us as a world, as a collective community, as a collective society, we still need to be able to raise up a new leader with a new thought of leadership, new idea, new techniques to be able to confront the challenges that face us in the world. And these new leaders are going to be our children. So if we don't do the right thing, there is that likelihood of this cycle continuing, of us neglecting the important thing and fighting ourselves. It's a shame from all ramifications, from every point of view that we could think of, that in the country that I live in today, I live in Italy, for who cares to know, that they find it difficult to give house to people of African descent, irrespective of what the experience could be. Because whether we like it or not, it is not right that you continue to judge people from what their brother might have done 3, 4, 5 years ago. And at the same time, you continue to create law or promote idea that even encourage those people to do it. So I wouldn't want to live in a society like this, although I'm living in it. And I don't want to live this society like this for my child to grow up in. So I'm begging all parents today that are listening to me. I know that I have talked for so long, I have talked too much. It's not even making sense to some people. But I am begging each and every one of you as a parent, let us do the best that we can so that we don't pass the trauma, the bitterness that we have gone through in life to our children. It
Yeah.
is not right that a 7 years old child is telling her classmates that they don't like black people, as it could even be on the other way around. Maybe somebody else might even say they don't like white people. How can we still continue with how advanced we are in Western world, with the level of education, with the level of technology and everything that we have? We still end up having this kind of discussion in 2024. I think it's a shame on all of us. And this has to stop. It has to
It
stop.
is, and the most important is that it's coming from home, you know. So that
Yes,
means that also we adults need to work on ourselves, and it's not just
absolutely.
make it better for kids. Like you need to stop judging. Everybody just need to stop for a minute and put yourself in a position of a person being judged or bullied of other nature. You know, we are talking about something like very traumatic. It can leave, I mean, just imagine even to call somebody, I don't know, ugly or, you know, those wearing glasses, four eyes, and I don't know, somebody of bigger stature like myself calling fat. And are you even aware of like what you're causing people? Like these are traumas. This is something, I mean, how can a person, if a person, other question, do you know how many suicides happens
Because
annually
bullying,
because of bullying? Can please, whoever is watching, just Google that statistics. Just please do me a favor. It's there. I'm sure it's there. Everything is on Google, right?
it's unbelievable. Some things really
It's
need to
it's
stop.
it's too much. You understand? It's like
It's too much to bear.
why?
It's too much to
Sometimes I
bear.
have a feel. Yeah, and it's like it feels like you are boosting your egos on bringing somebody down, you know, and this is not how it's supposed to be. Like, you need to strive to be better, not be better because you put somebody down. This is not how it goes, you know? And it
Nice.
doesn't even make you, I don't know, a human anymore. Like, you become an animal. You're just looking for a prey,
Of
you
course.
know?
Of course.
And it's
Of
and
course.
especially like even for women, so judgy. Like, why can't you be the person that is gonna tell your queen, hey, your crown is crooked, just fix it? Why do you want to take the crown down? Why shouldn't we all wear crowns, you know? Like, allow
We
me to
we
be a queen of myself as well, you know? Like, let's, I mean, it's
yeah.
just,
Yeah, Tasha,
and it's,
especially the issue of women judging their fellow woman is a discussion for another day. That's something that make me sick to the stomach, seriously. But
I feel
enough.
like they're like lions, right? Just left together in a place and they just want to like eat each other alive. For what reason? What joy does it bring you?
Absolutely.
You know
The
how they
thing is
say
that
you should never look down on anyone unless you admire their shoes.
perfect.
And
We
another
should
one
all
that I'm
take that
gonna
to
use
heart.
here is, if you are pointing finger at me, at least make sure your hands are clean.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's a thing that make me sink to the heart to see us, even with the advancement we have made as a human race, we still continue to wallow in this kind of ignorance. It make me sick to the heart. For instance, to be
But
in a
here is the thing,
supermarket.
Pedro.
Mhm.
Development where? Technologically, yes. Humanly, it's
The
like I
the
have a feeling that once we got smartphones, right?
mhm.
Smartphones, they took that smart of humanity and give it to the phone. That's how I feel that this is what happened.
How do we explain it to ourselves? Not even me anymore. Like, I told you, and I've told whoever cares to know. This issue is not about me anymore. It doesn't have. I have given my best to the world. To be very honest, I this is how I feel. I have given my best to the world. To be very honest, but the thing is that I started asking some questions when I have a child, when I had a child, in the sense that I never used to care when the security guard in the supermarket go after me in every of the eye in the supermarket when I'm shopping. I
Mhm.
don't I'm used to it. I never used to care, but
Now
if
that
I
you have a child, you see it differently.
yeah,
And you know why?
yes,
Because you know that your child is going to be in your position. And it hurts you more than when you are actually experiencing. I can totally relate to that.
it breaks my
Totally.
heart. It
I
breaks my
know.
heart.
Yes.
It breaks my
Yes.
heart. I mean, are you trying to tell my son that I'm probably going to steal something? Do you want my son to not start seeing me as a theft? It breaks my heart.
Hmm.
And I'm like, for goodness sake, we are humans. We are bigger than this. We can do better than this.
Hmm.
And even if I was to steal something, you really want me? Are you trying to tell me that I want to pass? You see me as somebody, or anyone for that matter, a parent will be teaching their children how to stay in the supermarket?
I, I,
I
I
mean,
I can't say yes or no because I think that I do believe that people are teaching that their kids. Honestly, I do believe, but that's again, you know, that's wrong side of the parenting that I will never approve and I want to raise. But unfortunately, we always have those people.
yeah,
Even now, what we are doing right now is just telling other parents or other
step up.
fellow adults, just wake up.
Yeah, that's just it. To be
That's
very honest, I hope we change as a society, and I will like to see us as parents, because this is, to me, something. It's a battle that we parents have to fight. in our household because the government cannot do it. The government, the
The
laws are
government
made.
doesn't want to do it.
But what is the
I mean,
government to do concerning even issues like this?
listen, it's enough. I see it. I'm very probably controversial when it comes to politics, government, and stuff like that with what is happening. But just look at it from this perspective, right?
Mhm.
The government, and I'm going to use now Italy as an example. The government, especially even when it comes to European Union and stuff, supporting in this bringing immigrants and helping them. That's how the country portrays themselves. We are helping you guys, with this like. Although the way they come to the country is not something that probably any human would really approve because it's not humanly, not even like normal.
Yeah.
But let me use this as an example. Italy, as open as it is, or portrays itself that it is, and it's accepting the immigrants, is at the same time facing something that you just described. So you are welcoming, you are open to certain extent to foreigners, especially Africans who are of darker complexion. But then again, you kind of set some boundaries among landlords and stuff not to rent the apart. So how do you want this? You see, I feel like sometimes all of this is just staged to the extent that come, 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 and then we're gonna destroy you. Because
I
regardless,
I understand
I'm not
okay.
looking. I'm not looking for I agree and I don't agree. This is
Okay.
how it actually comes out in the eyes of many, and especially me, because no, I'm controversial when it comes to that, and my mentality is
No,
maybe like probably completely different.
you
But
are free to
what I'm
say what
trying
it
to
is.
say is that sometimes
You need
you
to
see, I'll
learn.
use also Cyprus as an example where we live, right?
Mhm.
So big on international students. So big, like come to the, they advertise it in African countries. Come students, you understand? Paying loads of money to these universities, colleges, whatever. But then at the same time, as a country, very locked out, the student cannot work. So how do you expect them to survive, man? You know what I mean? So it's like, come, 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 come. You're so welcome. Bring money, bring this, but you don't give them a chance to survive. It doesn't work like that. So, it does feel like it's staged because now there are two countries that I can point finger on, literally, and point these things out. So welcoming, so open, so come, 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 so promising. But then you lock the door that are basically the most important for their survival. How do you expect these people to thrive? And then you expect them to be equal to your society, expect them to be integrated, expect them to pay tax and stuff, but you don't provide them the first and foremost, most important thing, you know? And it
That's so
doesn't work.
true.
And it's like, and it is a form of racism again. And you're like, you're portraying yourself as a society, government, whatever you want to call yourself. You understand? But then you're basically bashing people down, and it doesn't work like that. Trust me, these people that just came to Italy yesterday, 2 weeks ago, would be better off than in Africa. You understand? And trying to make it in another African fellow country that is probably safer than their own, or whatever reason they traveled. But it's
Yeah.
because of this media and stuff that they portray. You understand? Promised Land, so many made it. They're in Italy. You are in Italy. You succeeded. You understand? Maybe Obina is one of them that I can point the finger now on and succeeded. And you have a success stories and you can share it with the world. But that's not the case. And this is where this is where all this controversial thing come, because then we have media who is telling us, like even here in UK, the crime happens. I don't know, a pocketing, as simple as a pocketing. Somebody was at the I don't know, let's say Christmas market, and was pickpocketing, and they immediately, yeah, he was a foreigner. You understand? And I don't know, this happened, yeah, it was a foreigner. Oh, really? So British people never do anything. You see that stereotype?
Of
Britain,
of
Britain was manipulated, for example, to sign the Brexit, right? Just so because they promised them that they're gonna keep the money and the foreigners are not gonna be taking jobs and stuff. You see the manipulation, and look at
That's
them now how they are suffering. This is what I'm trying to say, you know.
of
So it
course.
is like racism is like daily with the government. So when you bring that in, it's on us. Leave the government. The government is not gonna do anything. That's why it's me, you, and people like of our nature, normal peasants, if I can use that word, you know, that we can change it, because you know it might be a small step for a humanity, but it's a big step for a human. So if I do it and you do it and your neighbor does it and you, I don't know, your brother or your sister and my mom and whoever, if we step together and it's 10 of us, that's 10 children or 20. You understand? And these
Absolutely.
children are gonna get children, and that's 40 already. You understand? Let's do it, because
In
it starts
fact,
with us.
absolutely. That's the reason why we have this discussion tonight. And I'm
Yeah,
really happy for the time and everything that we put into it. And I'm repeating my appeal to parents again. We really have to step up and do the right thing in raising our children. Enough
yeah.
of this continuous perpetuation of stereotype in our household. If we can just get it right in our household, I believe it will impact the larger society. You understand? And
Hmm.
when it comes to, for instance, them not giving houses, not renting houses to strangers in Italy, strangers in this case, particularly of the African descent, I know for a fact over the years the government will have been aware that this is the situation, but the houses that I'm talking about here are private homes, so I don't
I
know if there
understand,
is, yeah,
but
good.
do you see this like racism is basically illegal? This is what I was telling you before.
Yeah,
Because even if the government
you
is
cannot
aware,
resist anybody, you cannot be racist to anybody.
I, I know, but this is racism. And trust me, if it
No.
would be reported, the government would tell you basically, listen, we can't do anything. It's a personal decision that they are making, although they are breaking a law. This is what I'm saying. So you don't have a support from the government. You see, because if it was all about striving and helping and making it, they would step in and they would try to solve the issue where the issue is.
So true. And this,
Yeah,
Tiasha, is where I have the problem. And hence the question, how do we raise our children? I'm happy that we've done our best in explaining the things that we needed to explain. And I hope that those that listen to us tonight and those that will come across this video take it into heart. Definitely, you and I cannot, we can only do so much. We need the help of
exactly.
everyone. And the better, the earlier we start, the better it is. I am just
Sure.
a man thinking about my fellow human being, and the my mission in life is not to, it's even if I am not able to change the world, but at least I don't want to leave it worse off than the way I meant it. I may not change it, but at least let it not get worse under my care. That is what, that is my philosophy in life. That is what drives me. And I'm begging each and every one of you, we can do better. We can do better. We're in 2024, some things need to change. We cannot keep talking about issues with stereotype and racism. It's a form of distraction to both the affected and the unaffected. It drags us back. It's not good for us as a society. We as adults may not care, but younger children, they want to play with their mates. They want to be able to play with their fellows. And if we create an enabling environment for them to strive hard to make this world a better place, the better it is for us. I really appreciate your time tonight, Tiasha. I'm really
Thank you for
grateful,
having
and
me.
I know, like I keep saying, we continue to discuss issues that are very difficult even for people to accept. I understand this very well, and I will crave the indulgence of those that listen to us or that follow us to bear with us and be patient, even though this may not be topics that get people so excited because we are not dancing, listening to music and everything. But I can bet you those are things, these are the gray area of our society that people are afraid to go into. We are not going to be so popular among our friends and everything discussing issues like this. But believe me, these are topics that they're afraid to talk about, that they wish people talk about it. So I will ask you that is watching us or listening to us, please share this video around so that it may get to those that it may really help, and do the best to encourage us too as well to continue to discuss issues like this. Comment on the video, let us know
Yes.
your thought, let us get feedback from you. Should we even stop discussing issue like this? I would like to know from you as well. I really would like to hear back from you. Please, if you watch the
And
video,
also what are the things that people even want to talk about, you know? What are the
good.
people like, what do they feel? Did we touch everything? Do they have any experience of that sort, you know? Is there
Perfect.
something that they want to
Should
know?
we do
Do
part
we
two?
need to do a research,
Good.
you know? Like, let us know, please. Or
Let
say
us
hi.
know, please.
Or
Please,
just say
please,
hi.
please,
I
please.
like to say hi to new people. Hi, people.
Good. Yes. Nice, nice, nice. We are going to leave the discussion here today, and I hope it was a great time with you, all of you that watch us. And until next time, I hope to see you again. Stay blessed and keep taking care of your families. I love you all. Peace. Ciao, ciao.
See ya.
See ya. Bye bye. And I will leave you with this beautiful song.
I didn't hear it before. I couldn't dance. Make sure that I hear it too.
Okay, now let me share with everyone.
Yeah,
Let me
don't be.
share with
You see,
everyone of
he's stingy. He wants everything for himself. He's selfish.
yes, 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 yes. I'm a
Let us
very
enjoy
stingy.
too.
I'm a very stingy man. If if that was true, I wouldn't be here with you tonight.
I know. I take it
Mhm.
back. But when it comes to music, you are very selfish. You want it all for yourself.
All for
Let's
myself.
dance. Let's dance,
Okay,
people.
let's do it. I'm coming. Let me get it. Desktop. Okay, here it is. Okay.
Ta-na-na-na-na.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time with us tonight. I really, really, really appreciate. Thank you. Until
Share the
next
video,
day.
comment,
Yeah.
subscribe,
Comment.
join in.
Tell us, tell us even what the topic that you would like us to do. You know, we are doing what we believe it may be nice for each and every one of us. But if you tell us a particular topic and some of the questions that you would like us to take again, believe me, we will come back and do justice to it. And if you would like to participate in the show, hit me up, write me a message, then I will make it available for you to come over and share your thoughts with us as well. Thank you again for your time. I appreciate you all. One love from me to you. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao. Cool.